Hello and welcome to ReelTok episode 160? 160?
Yep.
160 says it right there. Today we have a very, very special episode. We're going to be reviewing the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, One Battle After Another. I'm joined here with Tyler. Cam will be joining us shortly. He's just on the way. I'm going to be covering One Battle After Another. Also going to be covering kind of a rough breakdown of Paul Thomas Anderson's illustrious filmography to date, in chronological order. Some we've rewatched, some we might have watched a while ago. It's not going to be like an in-depth review on each, maybe like we've done previously, but it's going to be general thoughts, and then also a ranking as well of his filmography up to date with each of us. And we've also got there was a few trailers this week we're going to touch on as well. Some decent amount of movie news. And yeah, before we get into it, if you haven't already, check out the Patreon. You can have a look at all the benefits you'll get on there, such as the Discord membership, which is rocking as always. So get yourself involved, have a look. But without further ado, we'll kick off. Tyler, how are you? And what have you been watching?
I have been good. So this week I was supposed to travel for work. I was at the airport on Monday. I got there at like 9:30 a.m. I was supposed to be going up to Detroit for the week. Well, not for the week, just for 2 days. My flight got delayed initially by 7 hours. And then I was like, okay. So my flight was like 11 a.m. So my flight got delayed. At first it was 4 hours to 3:30. So I was like, okay, not the end of the world. I still get in like 6 p.m., not late at all. Perfectly fine. 4 hours passed. And this delay happened when I was already at the airport because we were getting on the plane. Then they said it was a maintenance issue. So it's not like I could just like sit at home and wait. So then I was already at the airport. So I just went to the lounge. 4 hours passed. And then they said delayed another hour, then delayed another hour, then another 3 hours. And it got to the point where my initial flight was supposed to take off at like 11:30. And the new departure time was 12:30 a.m. So like 12 hours later. Or 13 hours later, and I was like, oh, there's no way this flight's gonna happen. And then eventually they finally canceled it at like 9:30 p.m. They just said like the flight's canceled, there's no flight today. And I was supposed to be there the next morning at like 8 a.m. for a meeting. Mm-hmm. So there's no way I was gonna be getting there. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna cancel the trip. There's no point in going the next day. So it's kind of nice. I got an extra free 2 days at home. I didn't have to travel, but really annoying that obviously I couldn't get what I needed to get done for work, and I had to sit at the airport for like 12 hours, and no one likes being at the airport. I never like being at the airport ever, so being there for like 12 hours was awful. Just sitting there waiting the whole time. It was also a bummer too because Matthew McConaughey hosted a screening of The Lost Bus in town. I had to turn it down because I was like, nope, sorry, I can't. I'm traveling for work. So I was like, I didn't even end up traveling, and I was just like sitting at the airport waiting for a flight that never went when I could have been seeing that movie. So bummer, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's just an annoying travel week. Airlines this year have just been so much less consistent than they used to be. And I only travel with Delta, which is normally supposed to be like the good one. They're supposed to be the one that's always on time. Like, oh yeah, all those other airlines. Like Delta's kind of known as the most expensive one, but like it's not like a luxury liner. It's like the most expensive of like the normal liners, but like it's barely anymore. But people would usually say like, oh, if you pay like extra for Delta, you're not going to be canceled and late. But my flight's been a lot of messes this year, and has been for like everyone. The airline industry in general is just kind of like a mess right now. So that's a bummer. But yeah, other than that, did end up traveling this week. Thought it was going to be an easier week because of it, but because I didn't have to travel, my boss was like, oh, you have all this extra time. Here's all this extra stuff. So I had a really busy week with work. Thursday went to see One Battle After Another with Riley. And after that, we went to our rehearsal dinner spot just to check it out and see what the vibe was like. Cause we've been talking with them online, getting quotes and stuff, but we haven't ever been there in person. But it was really cool. Right on Lake Travis. It's called the Oasis. Anyone familiar in Texas or Austin will know what that is, but, really cool spot, really gorgeous spot, really crazy spot of Austin, just up in the hills, looking over the lake. Really, really nice place. So I'm really excited to be there for the rehearsal dinner for the wedding. But yeah, a lot of wedding planning going down. Riley's gone this weekend, babysitting and dog sitting for her family. So I'm got the place to myself, just kind of been getting stuff done around the house this weekend. We still have a lot of stuff to do to finish, like unpacking, getting set up. Like our house is still kind of a mess. And just a lot of random BS we have to get done, like getting new licenses and all that kind of stuff. So just a lot of stuff like that. And then I leave for my bachelor party this upcoming weekend. So excited for that. Should be a fun weekend with the boys hanging out, going to Lake Tahoe. So haven't been there before, but I hear a lot of great things. I know a lot of people love vacationing there. It's going to be pretty chilly. I think it's going to be like 50 degrees Fahrenheit most of the week. So way cooler than I'm used to in Arizona and Texas, but should be gorgeous on the lake and the mountains. Definitely going to check out like Reno for some casinos and such. Maybe like, see where Joe Pesci used to hang out in the Scorsese days.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. Other than that, I think that's pretty much covers it. College football yesterday was good stuff. NFL today in like 30 minutes, the Vikings kick off because they're playing early in Dublin today against the Steelers.
Oh, I know someone who's just gone actually.
Do you know which side they're pulling for, Steelers or Vikings?
No, they've been sent like as a brand trip. I don't know if they actually
nice.
I think they flew a few people out for it. That's why.
Yeah, it should be fun. Vikings are in Europe for the next 2 weeks. I think they play. I can't remember exactly where next week. I think it is just London. I know it's in the UK, but I don't know which stadium. But they
is it a league game?
there this week. It is, yeah. So
how do the fans think about that?
So the NFL is just really trying to expand its global reach. Like they've had some games the last 2 years in Brazil. They had a game. They had some in Mexico City, and then they've had them in the UK, Dublin, Germany. So they're just trying to like expand the reach. I think they're really trying to test the waters. Like, could we ever make this an international league? Which pretty much everyone agrees no, because like that would just be brutal for travel schedules for teams. But I think they just keep trying to test the waters of their international audiences. But fans, I don't know. It's like fun for once a year. So basically, it's kind of like usually new teams every year. But like the one team that kind of always complains about it is the Jacksonville Jaguars because their owner just had like, I don't know if there's some agreement, but basically like for most teams, it's like, oh, like once every like 5 or 6 years, you might have an international game, if even that, maybe even less. Whereas like Jacksonville is kind of always like once every year they have a game internationally. So like basically, because NFL is like short seasons, you only get 17 games, and half of those are away, half of those are home. So if you think about it, you only get like for every season, you only get like 8 games at home. So if you're going to play every single year internationally, then like a diehard fan, that's like 1 out of 8 times a year they can't see. They just get a game kind of removed from them. That's like 15% of their season. So it's like since it's such a small season, that's a large chunk to just give away every year. But yeah, people get bummed about that. But no, it should be fun. Hope the Vikings win, but yeah, it should be a good time. But yeah, they went over there this week, and they're going to be there for like 2 weeks because, I mean, if you're playing in Ireland 1 week and the UK the next week, there's really no point to fly back to America in between. That would just be brutal to just ruin your schedule like that. But yeah, what have I been watching? I have been watching. I was trying to get all the PTAs watched before this episode. I'm still going to go through all the PTA's library because there are some that are still very overdue for rewatch for me. But just didn't happen. We're all just, we're all busy people. We used to be able to be like, oh yeah, we have this, director with the big movie coming out. Let's watch every single one of his films, even like the ones no one's heard of, which isn't the case for PTA. Everyone's kind of heard of them, but I'm talking more like when we had like a Lucas special, we watched all of them, even like the Melissa P's and the protagonists of the world. But we're all just like so much busier nowadays, but we do the best we can and we still crank out these episodes. But I rewatched Phantom Thread, which Riley didn't like, but to be fair for Riley, I read, so basically I told her, I'm trying to watch all these before ReelTok, and I read the synopsises for Phantom Thread, Punch Drunk Love, There'll Be Blood, Boogie Nights. Those were the 4, and I kind of said choose based on the synopsis.
I didn't say without it,
and she chose Phantom Thread, and she also said she has seen a clip of it before, so she was kind of intrigued based on that. But yeah, she wasn't a fan, but I still love Phantom Thread, but I've always loved it. It's I don't know exactly where it's going to stack my overall PTA rankings. I'm technically not even halfway through it because I just started my rankings completely from scratch. If I had to guess based on my previous ratings, it's going to be like top 2 or top 3. But right now it's sitting at 2 behind another one we'll talk about later. But also watched One Battle After Another twice, both times in Dolby, once at Alamo Drafthouse, once at Cinemark. The first time was with Riley, which was fun. And then finally got to see Anemone on Friday. It finally worked. The screening worked. And it comes out this upcoming weekend. So I guess I won't be on the pod. I'm still not going to review it here, but I'm not going to be on the pod next week. I'll be at my bachelor party. But next week will be like Anemone and the Smashing Machine. Anemone is a much smaller release. Obviously, Smashing Machine is going to push a lot more. I am, but the embargo lifts at 12:30 today. So it's like by the time anyone hears this, even by the time this is up on Patreon, like the embargo will have been lifted. So I'm not going to review it here. All I'm going to say is I had like a weird moment watching it where I was watching it and I was like, I don't know, there's like a moment in it where it mentally clicked in me where I was like, man, I haven't watched a film that like is really hard to digest in a while, where like you have to really focus and it is not spelling it out for you. And it is kind of like a mind fuck. And you're like, okay, I have to lock in to like really try and grasp what he's trying to go for here. So take that for what you will. I think this is a movie that is dialogue heavy, but like you just have to be locked in. It is a slow burn, very much a slow burn. I don't want to say compared to this movie just because I don't want to throw people off for expectations, but in ways it felt very similar to The Lighthouse when I was watching, where a lot of this movie is two people talking and kind of like they're speaking at each other and you're trying to, based on what they're saying, you're trying to understand both of the men's psyche, and it's a lot to kind of process and try and fully unravel what they're trying to say. I also will say I'm like, there's definitely some stuff in there about about Ireland and the UK and the conflict between the two countries over the centuries. And I'm just not that well read on the history. So I'm going to be interested to hear and read some reviews from people who are more up on their like kind of history between England and Ireland and the conflicts there. But yeah, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis and Sean Bean. And
are you positive on it?
I am positive. I think a lot of people will come away and say it's boring, but to my counter,
though, to be fair.
But my counter to that is that it is a very like layered movie that you have to lock into and really process. But also, like the trailer definitely sells it well in the sense that like visually that movie's crazy, and there's like a few specific scenes where I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So
it's like, would you say it's like a bold debut?
I would say so for sure. It's a bold debut for sure. Nice. I think some of the other critics in the press screening were like mixed on it, but no one was like negative on it. It's just, I think the main criticism people are going to come away with, they're going to say it's boring. But I think if you can peel back that and actually just try and fully lock in and fully try and assess the dialogue, because it is super dialogue heavy, but like the dialogue isn't spelling out the themes of the movie or anything. It's like you have to like really try and understand what they're trying to say to each other. And it's definitely still a film like I need to watch again. So I'm positive on it. I think where I'm going to land is probably 3.5. So it's not like my favorite movie ever, but I'm definitely positive on it. Yeah. It's cool to see Daniel Day-Lewis back. It's fun to see him back, and we'll see.
Is he good?
I mean, it's like, is it the best I've ever seen him? No. Is it anything less than like a 9 out of 10 performance? Of course not. Like, it's an amazing performance. He's great in it. Yeah. I wonder if, because he's always obviously been known as the method actor guy. So like, I wonder if that's a thing like always, because I feel like it's like because he like co-wrote the movie with his son. His son's obviously directing. Like, I wonder if they like wrote the film together, and then like a month before filming, as they're prepping and his son's getting ready for directing his first feature, Daniel's like, sorry, son, I got to go to the woods, like live in the woods now. He's like, the method acting's got to start. He's like, I got to ditch you here. You're on your own. I got to go lock into this character who lives in like the cabin in the woods.
Wouldn't surprise me. But cabin in the woods.
Daniel Day-Lewis. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. And then I know we're going to be reviewing Snake Eyes, I believe, on Friday, so I'll be watching that here today. Brian De Palma. I'm excited for that one. That's one I need.
It's like my third favorite, I think, or fourth.
Ooh, okay, yeah, I'm ready for it. But yeah, I haven't been watching a ton, which is a bummer. The Phantom Thread, one Battle After Another twice, and Anemone. But you know, I wish my movie watching rate was higher this year, but here we are. We're all busy.
Cool. Me, I went to like a film festival this week, like a really local independent one in Worcester in the Midlands here. So I went to film festival this week. It was cool, man.
And did you say in the Midlands or the Netherlands?
In Worcester, the Midlands here. It's like
okay,
nearest Birmingham kind of area.
Okay, nice.
It was mainly like a lot of student films. They basically invited us along, and we thought like, why not? Went for like 3 days. It was like a lot of student stuff, and then we saw I saw a film called I Swear, which is I think it's doing the film festival rounds and stuff. It was actually pretty good. It's basically a biopic on this guy with Tourette's who grew up in like 80s Glasgow, where it wasn't really accepted or known to be what it was, and then he went on to get an MBE for his work with people with Tourette's in terms of exposure and I guess therapy to a certain extent. But yeah, that was cool. It was cool. But yeah, it was good. It was a good time. Like there was a lot of student stuff. Met like a lot of filmmakers there. Made some like contacts. I guess it was cool. It was good stuff. Obviously one battle after another. Wait, I was on last week, wasn't I? But I wasn't speaking about it then. Yeah. So I'm gonna go and see. I didn't get a chance to see it again this week because I was away. Anna wants to watch it though, so I think I'm gonna watch it with her next week. I didn't realize this. I don't know if you did. Do you know there's only 4 cinemas in the world that are equipped with to
This
project?
division?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like 10. 4 is crazy, by the way.
Yeah, because Brady Corbet filmed in this division, but didn't project it in that, whereas PTA is. But I don't know if you've been seeing Twitter. I don't think this is gonna be making a comeback because I've seen multiple screenings now where like the film's just like caught on fire and they had to like cancel the screening. Like it's there's been a lot of issues with this division, like getting the prints burned up, and
no, it's really
because it's way more difficult to project than film. So it's like.
Yeah,
I think is an outdated medium that I think had the potential if one battle after another did really well to be like, oh, this could be like a thing that you know, kind of like almost filming natively in IMAX 70mm, where it's like once a year maybe a film comes out in this format. I would be surprised if this division hangs around just because
it's you've got a risk there, and you've also like the cost and the maintenance is so high as well. But yeah, I saw it in this division, which is cool. I guess that's something I can say.
Nice.
Great film. Yeah, I think me and Anna will go and see it this week. As she thinks she wants to watch it. I finished The Leftovers as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I did a video on that like a week ago. It's so good. It's like I would say personally, it's like one of the best shows I've ever seen, probably. Definitely up there.
I mean, it's just right up the alley of what you look for in films too, like with religion and existentialism, and it just
and like surrealism a lot of the time as well.
Yeah,
like so especially when we get into kind of the 3rd season, which I adored so much. In that, I'm not going to say anything, but in that, I think every season strays from the other in such a distinct way in the following, and it isn't afraid to get as like crazy as possible, but also be as kind of surrealist in its later elements, and also just like weird, like non what's the word, gen pop friendly, I would say, in terms of the way it structures itself and the way it follows its narrative. I loved it. I think like one of the strongest things about it as well is just the performances from everyone are just like all timers. I would argue they're all unbelievable, and I can't wait to watch it again because I think it's one of those where I'm going to watch it again and again and again and get some more from it. I just think we should do like when we do like a free week, we should do like a TV episode of some TV show, like favorite TV show.
People have been wanting that for a while, like in terms of like us to at least draft like our favorite TV seasons. But I think for sure, I mean, we could probably do it sooner than next year. But I'm just saying in terms of the normal film release schedule, we've seen this year where there's like a week or two back to back. We're like, man, there's really nothing. Like, what are we even going to talk about? So whenever we come across one of those weeks, which probably realistically will happen like in a January or February of this upcoming year, just because the rest of the year is probably going to be pretty big releases every weekend. And then once the new year starts, we usually get like a dull weekend. So yeah.
Well, let us know. Like, comment down below.
Yeah, there you go.
If you would want like a TV special episode or whatever, whenever we get free time, because I think it'd be good. Yeah, finish that. It was amazing. I didn't watch a crazy one this week. A lot of it was like short films and student shorts and whatever. I rewatched Licorice Pizza. I'll save my thoughts on that. Rewatched Boogie Nights. Obviously one battle after another. I said I'm gonna watch that again this week. Rewatched Punch Drunk Love as well. Hi Cam. Quite the setup we got here. Rewatched Punch Drunk Love as well. The only 2 I didn't get to rewatch, which I haven't seen in a while, is Magnolia. Magnolia and Tyler, remind me of the name.
Inherent Vice,
yeah. Like, I don't have advice. I think it's rewatch kind of annoying. I've seen it in a few years, but I can give some general thoughts on it anyway. And I watched Ferrari. We watched that. Love that. And that's kind of it. Like, I didn't watch a crazy amount this week. Just goes away a bunch. But I got some of the PTAs watched, which I wanted to check off again before we discuss it today. But that's kind of it. Cam, quite the setup you've got there. How are you doing? What have you been watching?
I'm doing all right. It's been a long week. Basically moved all this week, so I think like the other Wi-Fi is real bad apparently. Scuffed setup. This might be giving it the old college try. I'll try to review one battle after the other. After another. I might not be on this thing very long. I'm trying my best, but this is my living room right now. It's just a absolute loss pit. Yeah. I normally go to my parents to record, but my mom texted me on Friday and was like, "You cannot go in the basement." And I said, "What? All of my stuff? Get it." I don't know if I keep cutting out on. Just tell me if I keep cutting out because it's might not be worth it. I have no Wi-Fi. Yeah, I have no Wi-Fi. I apologize. Like I have Wi-Fi, it's just not hooked up like through my computer. I'm just on my laptop right now.
Your mouth is moving and your words are like 5 seconds behind. It's quite funny.
It's like you cut out every like 10, 15 seconds or so. But like when you're not cutting out, you sound like good, and it doesn't.
Yeah, you sound fine.
I can hear you and understand you. It's just you kind of cut out every 15 seconds. So if it stays this way, we should be fine. But so
yep.
If you unless you start cutting out a ton, we have to cut you. What happened with the move? Explain that. Bring us up to speed there.
I didn't even know what you said there because you cut out a bunch, unfortunately. Yeah, this might be a good college try. I don't know if this week is the week for me. It's just been a long week all around.
Well, impart your wisdom on the people. If you're not gonna work and you're gonna keep cutting out and you can't hear us, just give us a good piece of wisdom and advice from Cam Walsh.
Yeah. Love you all. Be kind to others. Smile a little bit more, and have a wonderful day. Love you all.
Yeah, we heard
Apologies.
you loud and clear.
Tried my best.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll sit on, but yeah, long week. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully,
one
battle after another. Okay. Very good. I don't know if I'm out of 5. I don't think I'm out of 5. I haven't reviewed it yet. I almost wanted to. Yeah, that's going to be my only thoughts. I don't know if it's better than Sinners, guys. I think Sinners is better. So that's my very quick one battle review. Leo, very good, obviously. Sean Penn, great. Who's his daughter? What's her name?
Chase Infinity.
What a name, man.
Chase Crazy. Infinity, probably, yeah, great name. Probably the best in the movie. Paul Thomas Anderson does some wicked things with the old camera. Fun, intense movie. Very, very awesome to watch. But I don't think don't know if it's a 5. I think I like Sinners more.
You're not cutting out now, so we can like hear you well. So I think I don't know. I think you're still delayed, but I do want to know about the move because that's what I'm most interested about. So because that came out of nowhere, kind of. So like what's happening there?
Yeah, just had to move, like just put a lot of money into the other house, probably too much, and so I was just not able to sustain and recognize very, very fortunate to own a house in this day and age, but just tried to fix it up, and as you guys knew, like was working on it all the time, and every project is very long lasting and takes forever to finish, and that was real frustrating, and so it just got to be a little too much, and then so we're trying to rent it out while we rent out a different place, so still own it, but we're going to try to rent it out and then maybe go back in a couple of years when we can afford it a little more, or sell it in a couple of years when maybe the value is a little higher. So we'll do that, but really sucks just to kind of not get displaced by any means, but kind of feels like you get displaced because like we knew we were getting pictures of it done, but then they happened so quick. And so we just had to get everything out basically for pictures, right? For the old Zillow. And so, yeah, just basically moved right away. I was up till 3 a.m. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every single night, and then was up for like work at like 6 a.m. every morning. So I was running on like 3 hours of sleep all week. It was just a very long and not fun week. And the house we moved into is extremely small compared to it, which is fine. It's just we had to get rid of a lot of stuff, and you can hear Sutton yelling in there. But I think Bailey and her are fine. They're doing well. Bailey's liking the move, but like our couch is the size of the living room now, whereas we had multiple rooms. But yeah, just kind of came out of nowhere. Not came out of nowhere. It was just, we just put a lot of money into the house and became a whole thing. And so if it were just Emma and I, it would be perfectly fine, no issues or anything. But we got these kiddos. Hi, sister. We got these kiddos that we have to take care of and think of like for the future. And so we had to make a different financial decision, which sucks to make decisions like because you have to, it's like it'd be nicer if we could just do a lot of things for fun, right? But yeah. Hi, sister. Hi, Sutton.
Sutton's podcast debut, because obviously Bailey's been on plenty.
Yeah,
Bailey's been on. Yeah,
I think this is Sutton debut.
Yeah. So like,
he's like, I'm still here. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, he's still here.
Yeah. So you're already renting a new place. So this all happens super fast. So how
was
how you're renting your current place?
Huh?
It was such a quick process to rent somewhere.
Yeah, we were in the process for a bit. I think I mentioned it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, like might happen. Oh, cutting out. And then it just all of a sudden happened, kind of thing. Just came up very quick. Yeah. So we're trying to rent out the.
Hello. Wait.
He had a good 8-minute stretch there.
He had a good little run there. Yeah, he was doing well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if he comes back. But yeah, that is crazy because turnaround's so fast, and
I know,
he's obviously renting a new place, and he still has his old place. So I mean, I'm living that same life right now where I'm renting a place and still paying the mortgage on my old place, and I know that's not fun because you're
a lot of stress,
doubling your housing money. But yeah, I was curious on how he's renting out his old place, what that looks like, because we considered that too, but it's tough because you want to. It's like if you're paying 2 housing payments, obviously you want to rent one out because it's that could eat that would help you not have to pay as much. But it's tough because we decided not to, because it's if you're renting it out, then you can't show it to new buyers. You're kind of just and for us at least, which I would guess is the same for him. I really don't know his area. Every area changes so differently in the housing market, but ours, for context, our mortgage in Arizona is $2,100 a month, and the rental market would probably be in that suburb would probably be $1,700, $1,800, $2,100 mortgage a month. So that each month, it's a rent payment, I guess, is $2,100.
$2,100.
Yeah, for homes in America, that's pretty well. Actually, that's good right now because the interest rates have gone up a lot. But yeah, I'd say, I mean, this varies wildly. If you're talking cities like LA or you're not going to get a house for this much, but I'd say most suburbs of major cities in America, the going price for a starter family home is probably $350,000, which is about where ours was. But then interest rates change a lot of things. So right now, I'd say the average people probably pay for a mortgage right now is because interest rates are high, $2,800 a month. Ours is $2,100 because we bought it when the interest rates were lower. But renting though is probably $2,000-ish a month. If you wanted the same exact house, you could probably buy the house and pay a mortgage of about $2,900 a month, or you could rent it for $2,000 a month. It's just cheaper to rent right now because the way the housing market is. So, which is what my point was my mortgage payment is $2,100, but a rental would probably only get $1,700 a month based on that area. So you'd still be losing money, but you wouldn't be losing as much money. But it kind of also doesn't allow you to really sell the house because you can't really show it, and you need to.
Yeah, of course.
And like that's why I was curious about him too, because it's like once you say you're going to rent out your house, it's like okay, like how do you find how long does it take you to find a renter, and how long are you going to sit there waiting?
So the average here apparently is like $1,250. So pounds
for like a mortgage or for a rent.
Yeah, for a mortgage. So that'd be like what, 1,600 USD around, I think.
I know that your houses in England are generally cheaper on average than in America, but I think most things I think it's just maybe the difference in the dollar and the British currency, because it's like I don't know. I feel like when I see prices for a lot of stuff in England, it seems a little cheaper, and I don't know if wages are a little less. So I don't know if it's just like I don't know if everything kind of so it's like maybe you make a little less wages, but everything's cheaper. So really, like it's like equal, all things considered, because we get paid maybe more, but everything costs more money. I just think the economies are pretty different.
Like I mean, if you're London based, then you are looking at like I mean the average pay in London anyway is higher. The average
right, just because it's so much more expensive to work there and live there.
So like buying a house in London, my cousin bought a few years back, and like it's obscene money. And even if you're on like the Greater London area, like some of the areas on the outskirts, etc., you're paying crazy money. So it depends where you are, but I think generally speaking, the housing prices over the years across the board in England especially have been rising. Not just housing, but also rent. We're quite lucky in Sheffield in that we pay like really good rent, but when we move to London, hopefully next year, that's gonna be a big change, because the same, like for example, where we're living now, we'd pay like double what we're paying now in London without fail, like double, if not more than double. So that'll kind of be an adjustment. But yeah, it is interesting because it seems to have just been sorted like so quick for him, but it's a bit of a nightmare on his part, isn't it?
Yeah. What is like the tier 2 city in England? So like obviously London is like the most expensive place to be. What's like Manchester would be like kind of where it's
I mean Manchester like is a metropolitan. I think in recent years especially, a lot of the areas that have become a lot more kind of renowned and sought after to live in as well, especially centrally. Like Manchester's like the second in terms of like media as well, you know, like film and locations, studios, finance world is kind of the second to London, I would say now. So we initially when I was like 22 or something or 23, we looked at Manchester originally, but and even then, it was crazy expensive. Like Manchester's like near in London now, some parts of it. So that's definitely the second to that. Anyway.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, one more quick thing on Anemone, because I just Googled this, because I remembered in the movie, Daniel Day-Lewis's character says he's from Sheffield. So when you say Sheffield.
Oh, really? By the way, can I give you some fun fact before you say something, Tyler?
Yeah, go for it.
Sean Bean is from Sheffield, and he used to live 5 minutes away from me.
There you go. That's
I mean, 5 minutes walk away from me.
Yeah, he's your guy.
Yeah, that's my guy. I can love that.
But yeah, because I mentioned like there's definitely themes about Ireland and England relations in the movie, and and it's very apparent that people are more familiar with that. And I was talking with a critic afterwards, because like a press screening, and they were like, because I was like, oh, I don't think I'm like well versed enough in the history there to like fully grasp like a major theme of the movie. Is like, oh, like, well, that's not really what the movie is about. And I'm like, I'm just confident it is. And now when I Googled Daniel Day-Lewis, because I was like, oh, is he really from Sheffield? He was, because he co-wrote this with his son. So Daniel Day-Lewis was born in England, but he's now he's an Irish citizen, and he lives in Ireland full time. So like that kind of seals it for me. That like clearly there's got like the Irish and England relations has to be very important to him. The fact that he's like lived both sides of it, kind of like in terms of like he's basically like full time lives in Ireland, but even though he's from England. So I don't know if you. It's like when you watch it, let me know what you think.
Is it like similar, I guess, subtext? If you can get it, I guess. Is it similar subtext like a Banshees, or is it different? Just like
the opening shot, this isn't a spoiler, is like a picture of like it's like a little kid's drawing of like soldiers shooting people holding Irish flags. So like I think it's very apparent, and then that happens, and then the movie starts.
And then you spoke to someone, and they were like, "Oh, I think that's part of it."
Well, it's because after that it becomes Banshees-esque, where it's like they never really like directly are going to talk about it. But I'm like, I guess opening with like a kid's picture of that. I'm like, I feel
Banshees is like. It's quite obvious. Do you know what I mean? It says when they speak about certain relationships and troubles.
Yeah, but I don't know. To people in America, like who aren't like, familiar on that history, might not get some of the subtext that to you or people more familiar might think is just text as opposed to subtext.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Is it time for one battle? Or no, what have you
Might
been
be.
watching? Did you go over everything you've been watching? You
Yeah, I
talked
think
about...
I haven't really been watching much. Yeah, no, I finished it. Yeah, well,
Oh yeah, the
we'll move on
leftovers.
to one battle. So one battle after one other, or after another, should I say? The new Paul Thomas Anderson film, starring the likes of Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Chase Infinity, Regina Hall, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor. Yeah, yeah. And other people who I can't name. Yeah, so I'll give you a quick synopsis before we get into kind of, we'll do an initial spoiler free. I think we've got a bunch to speak about here. I do figure, Tyler, and I think people have been saying this, I don't think we should necessarily go through things like point by point, but merely kind of run through it structurally in terms of give like very brief thoughts like we always do, and then maybe just like speak about particular scenes that come from our mind, characters, performances, blah, blah, the usual, instead of going through like A to B. So yeah, if you want to give your quick thoughts, I'll give you a quick synopsis before we get into it. So when their evil nemesis resurfaces after 16 years, a band of ex-revolutionaries reunite to rescue the daughter of one of their own. Tyler, spoiler-free thoughts. God, that's weird. It's like a tongue twister. Spoiler-free thoughts on one battle after another. And also, if you are listening to this, I did have my robe on at the start, so people should check the video out. But it's fucking too hot. Crazy to wear a robe in this weather.
Yeah. I'll keep it really light on the spoiler-free thoughts, just because I want to dive into some stuff more deeply. But I will say, just to Cam's point of him not giving it a 5-star, I did text him personally saying, don't worry if you don't feel 5-star, like, because the whole ReelTok collection pressure and such. Like, I know you had to deal with it with Oppenheimer when Cam also did, because
because Cam did give it a 5 and I
Cam
didn't, and now it's reversed.
Yeah, because I think So we've had this instances before where like maybe 3 of us are on a 5-star and one of us is like probably on a 4.5, but they feel like the pressure to give a 5 for the collection. And I told him, like, don't feel that, because like I'm just preparing people realistically. Like there is a chance this drops to a 4.5 by the end of the year for me, because there's still stuff I'm grappling about. Like, I haven't read reviews for a movie as much as I have for this one and watched reviews in a long time. Like, I've been diving in so deeply to this. There's still issues we'll talk about in the spoilers section that I'm still grappling with, trying to read up reviews, trying to talk to other people to try and like dissect their thoughts on what I'm thinking and seeing if maybe I'm like crazy or thinking of it the wrong way. But there's a couple issues there just holding it back for me. But the reason I gave it a 5,
because I haven't read any reviews yet. Just coming so busy.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to talk about it, because it's just gonna be a good little me and you chat for a while here. But I will say though, like, the highs of this movie are so high that it just made up for it. And like when I walked out of the theater, I just felt so electric that, like, it's very much a movie you're gonna walk out of just being like fired up. So it's like it was easy to give a 5, and Riley really liked it. And I don't know, anytime you go to a movie with a friend or significant other and they love it as well, like, it's easy to just kind of like feed off each other's energy and, like it even more. But I think Paul Thomas Anderson has always been great at mixing comedy in. Like, everyone saw the trailers and could see like there's very much a lot of comedy in, especially with Leonardo DiCaprio's character. And he has always been a master of that stoner comedy type of dialogue. And he knocks it out of the park here once again. This is a very funny movie. But the action sequences, like, I've seen all of PTA's films at this point, even some haven't been in a while, but I know for a fact, like, I haven't seen him ever shoot action the way he does in this movie. I didn't really know he had it in him. He's always had cool shots of cars driving, but like the chase scene in this is just something completely different. So I didn't know PTA had this in him for shooting action. His bag just continues to be developed. Incredibly impressive. This is very much an actor's movie in terms of everyone in the cast. It's just brilliant. Like, I love Leo. I said this in my initial review that like Leo's obviously always been a one-of-one actor, but specifically in this movie, Killers of the Flower Moon and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I truly could never ever see any other actor pull off the role that he did. Like, I just couldn't see him being replaced. Like, he might not be my favorite performance in this movie, but I can't see anyone else doing what he did in this movie. And Chase Infinity, incredible debut, just bananas that she was able to pull this off. Tiana Taylor and Regina Hall, I liked, just weren't in it a whole lot. So it's like kind of hard to compare them to people who are in the movie a lot more. And then Sean Penn is just crazy in this movie. I think he's so unhinged, but I think Sean Penn as an actor is always in complete control of the character of Colonel Lockjaw, and everything is so intentional. It is just such a great performance. So I love him in this movie. Not a great guy, but can't deny his performance is incredible. And then Benicio del Toro just so fun. He's just always that kind of glue guy in every movie lately, like in all the Wes Andersons he's in. He's just kind of that guy who kind of helps a great ensemble cast stick together with his just fun little antics.
He's so good.
But yeah, I love the performances. Cinematography is so great in this movie. It's just stunning to look at. The score is incredible. It's so great and inducing anxiety throughout. You're just on the edge of your seat as this, like, you know, the tapping of the piano or the little percussion just drilling you along, and then you have those crescendos.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. The soundtrack is perfectly curated as one would expect with a PTA movie. And technically, there's not a single negative I could say technically of this movie. Like everything from a technical perspective, I think is perfect, beat for beat, not a single miss. And then again, the action, like, yeah, there's gunfights and explosions that he shoots incredibly well, but that car chase is just something just on another level that, you know, very much recency bias, but I can't off the top of my head think of a car chase I've ever been more locked in for.
He revolutionized the car chase sequence in 2025.
It's crazy because it's like, you know, we'll talk about it more in spoilers, but when you think of like that, like there's way more intricate car chases. And I mean, this is probably one of the least intricate when you think of it from a pure perspective of like, if you were the one driving the car, like it's pretty straightforward car chase, but the way he shoots it just is incredible. But yeah, I think there's a couple issues here, especially with the ending. There's like three separate decisions made with the ending that all leave me really mixed. And we're going to talk about that in spoilers, of course. But yeah, I think the movie moves super fast. It's 2 hours, 45 minutes, never really drags whatsoever. Incredibly entertaining, hilarious film, hits your emotions. Like PTA just really checks all the boxes here of just a banging blockbuster for what you'd want. Like, it's like you want to go to the theater to see a blockbuster that's going to be a crowd pleaser, that's going to show you something new that you haven't seen before, that's going to be wildly entertaining. It's going to feature incredible performances and be something that when you see it, you're like, yeah, I'm happy. I spent, you know, $12 or whatever to see this in a theater as opposed to watching on a streaming. So for a blockbuster to be as bold as this and fierce as this, very impressive. And I think I kind of mentioned as well that I've seen some people, you know, like do the Eddington one battle after another comparisons. I will say, like, when I talk to some people at like a press screening, like who are just like written critics who like aren't really part of film Twitter, they're like, oh, people are comparing the two. Like I'm like, yeah, film Twitter will compare anything.
I don't get it at all.
Over there. I don't get it at all either. I was texting Doug about this. I think they're just fundamentally different films. I think if you're trying to compare these two films, it's like, you know, a globe is blue and like a blue Lego is blue, so they must be the same thing. It's like, you're just comparing apples to oranges. I will say that I think like Eddington still very much is the defining film of this decade. I think One Battle After Another is more the defining film of like this quarter century. I feel like this is very much bigger than it's
the only similarity they have is kind of the authoritarian, I guess, aspect, and also modern America.
Yeah,
which is
and it's like
how many films now.
But like One Battle After Another is never interested in talking about, you know, really technology and social media's impact, because I mean, for the majority of the film, there's no modern technology or social media. So I think Eddington's very much like, what's the last 5 years been, and what is current technology state impacting our youth with? One Battle After Another is like generations. Like this is like 80s to 90s to 2000s to 2010s to 2020s. Like this is, and it's still very pressing and current. All these issues and conflicts talked about are obviously very much happening right now, and it is a very timely movie. But this just feels bigger than saying it's like defines the last 5 years. It's like a movie that kind of really defines the last few decades, and it just does that so brilliantly. So I think this is very much something we're going to look back on in 50 years and be like, yeah, that was like the piece that defined, you know, this first quarter century of the 21st century so far. So brilliant work by PTA, and just not the guy expected to make a movie like this. Like I've seen people talk about, like, he's always had political themes in his movies, but you would never be the first to say like, oh, PTA, yeah, that he's like a political filmmaker. Like obviously every film is going to have elements of that, but he's not kind of the first guy you would expect to make a movie like this. So really impressive stuff from him. Excited to see where he goes from here. But yeah, excited to hear your thoughts and talk more about it in spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say too much, because I think you kind of covered most things there. It is like you say, I think this showcased again another kind of what's that phrase? I can't think of the phrase. Another thing of PTA, another,
I don't know, a side element, something.
Oh, there's a really cool phrase I wanted to use. Fuck, man. Anyway, yeah, another thing in PTA's bag, shall we say, in that he can take this, you know, on the surface, kind of father-daughter, parent espionage thriller, political thriller, whatever. But he had such a you know, his detail in it with the comedic aspects, which I think are woven in wonderfully. I think this, like, I don't know about you, but I thought this film was like fucking hilarious, like really fucking funny. I think Leo is not only unbelievable, it's unbelievably funny. And it's wickedly kind of evil, like from the aspects of Sean Penn. I think the cast is wonderful, and again, it really showcases that kind of modern oppressive underworld of America. Not even just America, just kind of a lot of the West in this period. And I said in my review, like, it's kind of a wonder that this film works as well as it does, like a miracle, you might say, and that it kind of defies cinematic logic. Like, there's really not much room to breathe. Maybe pause, maybe like aside from a few scenes here and there, most of the reflective moments being particularly with Leo and his daughter at the start. So it really allows you to kind of sit there and, well, it doesn't allow you to sit there and breathe, but it works in such a wondrous way where it's like I said in my review, like being continuously punched in the face, yet kind of enjoying it, being dominated by, you know, these two side extremes. You know, you've got this period of, like, it could be looked at as revolutionaries versus the regime, but with this kind of wicked undertone. And like Tyler was just saying, I think the way PTA shoots the action and the real kind of anxiety inducing and purposing moments, it's unbelievable. Like, it's a miracle it works as well as it does, because it really is just go in danger here, anxiety here, like a whole whirlwind of kind of ridiculousness, which I think is why it works so well. I can't remember his review, I saw some criticism that maybe that ridiculousness like undervalues the thematics of the film, which I would entirely disagree. I also think it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's not much criticism for this film, but when I have seen it, it's like, or a surprise of comedy, which is kind of a similar discussion to when Mickey 17 came out and people were like, oh, this is a comedy. It's like, well, yeah, have you watched any of Bong Joon-ho's films? Have you watched any of PTA's films? And I also think it's really interesting as well, because this is PTA's first a period movie, like modern day movie, since, what would it be?
I mean, Hard Eight, I feel like kind of took place in the time it was filmed, but I mean, that's like in the 90s.
That was in the 90s. So
Boogie Nights is kind of like a couple decades earlier.
Boogie Nights is 70s. Fans Dread, no.
Masters earlier. There Will Be Blood, obviously. I don't know. Is Hard Eight and this kind of the only ones he kind of did in the time he was filming?
I forget.
I think so. I think it's kind of like his only.
Again, like, it's not.
Licorice Pizza,
really,
no. Yeah, I think this is kind of it.
He's not really one to shoot modern. And like you said as well, the score in this, fucking, like, Johnny Greenwood is the GOAT, man. When it comes to composing, we need to have like conversations about this fucking guy. But yeah, I loved it. I think we'll go on to kind of more free flowing thoughts. I think a lot of this is going to come down to what you perceive from certain scenes. I do want to say, actually, just backing off your point, Sean Penn, I think, is wonderful. Leo, like I've already said, Benicio del Toro offers just a really good outset of comedy, but also kind of assertiveness towards Leo's character and free will, so to speak. I think it's that perfect description, caricature of that kind of person. I actually really liked Regina Hall as well, even though she kind of isn't given much to work with, you might argue, and Antiana Taylor for that matter. And I think, like, and again, this is something I've seen in a few people's reviews, and I also think this is one that a thematic I'm not really going to touch on, because it's not really my place in terms of like the fetishization of Black women. You've probably seen the discussion as well. That's the only kind of I said I didn't read any reviews, but I think I read a couple like just after I watched it, and that was something to discuss. But I also think it's like, what the fuck can I add to that conversation?
Right?
You know?
Yeah,
nothing.
We're not women, we're not black. It's kind of
like
a moot point for us to try and.
You don't want to hear two white men talk about.
We shouldn't be talking about that.
No, but yeah, I think in terms of Regina Hall particularly, and the offering of her character and the moment she's in, especially, which I'll talk about in a second, I actually think she was really, really fucking good as well. Like, quite subdued compared to the rest. I offered something completely different compared to the rest of the revolutionaries, so to speak. but yeah, no, I loved it. Obviously, it's a five out of five for me. It's my number one of the year so far, and I will say it's my number one of the year by like a pretty large distance for myself. Obviously, Sinners 20 years later, they're 2 and 3, and I love them both. But one battle after another is the first year there's been like a complete wow from start to finish. And I think the last thing I'm going to say as well, just that's not spoilery, is that it really does feel like an 80-minute film. It's actually insane.
Yeah.
Like it fucking flies by. I was like, yo, it's over? Do you know what I mean? When the final thing happens. Yeah, I think, is there anywhere particularly you want to start? If you can put the spoiler tag on, whatever.
So I agree with that. We don't really need to go beat for beat, but I will say there's very much like a first quarter of the movie and then the rest of the movie. So I feel like we should just talk about the first quarter where it's before the time jump and before like the title card, first like 30 minutes, and then kind of put a button on that and then dive into the rest of it after the time jump, because I feel like those are the two like distinct segments of the movie. So we can start with like the beginning, where it just starts with showing the French 75 in action before Chase Infinity's born. Like Leo and Tiana Taylor, when they're kind of first falling in love and doing the revolution, freeing the immigrants from the detention center,
have like
robbing the bank,
almost polar personalities. I guess I think you should say that point. In that kind of Leo's the more subdued, quiet, is almost taking the orders from what he deems as above, and then you got Tiana Taylor, who's like kind of the action driven revolutionary, modern day revolutionary, who wants to make things happen, because it really does like throw you in there immediately and gives you almost like a show reel of their drives, their fortitudes, like what they want to accomplish by with essentially violence at that point, because you're really like thrown there from the beginning. I'm trying to think, how long does it actually last? Because obviously you've seen it more recently.
It's like 25 minutes. So
okay.
You immediately too, you get the tone of the movie right from the jump with Perfidia, which is Tiana Taylor, when she goes into the office of Sean Penn and she like makes him get an erection. So like very much it tells you right away, like this is very much like a charged revolution, while also like being completely absurd in a lot of scenes and like adding in comedy and just like things you're like, what the hell? Like you were not expecting, and just gives you great insight into like who she is. And Perfidia, which is Tiana Taylor's character, is like one of the most complex characters I've had to try and dissect in a while. And I still don't know like where I land on her, because she's such a complex character. She's obviously like the spearhead of the French 75, basically always wanting to push for revolution. And I don't know, like for a lack of a better way to explain it, it seems like if the French 75's got like, you know, monthly plans for some revolution, she's like, well, I know we got one coming up in 2 weeks, but I'm going to go out tonight and do another thing. Like she's always like pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
But she's so interesting to dissect, because to me, like I think she's a very selfish character, because she is very much self-preservation. Everything she does when she engages with Sean Penn is very much for her own survival. And within the group, like we can see it with the bank robbing scene, which is kind of towards the end of this first little quarter, where it's a really interesting decision to not show why she shot at the guy, because obviously the first shot you see and it's blind, you don't see anything, and then the second shot is when he's reaching for his gun, so it's like obviously she's like, well, my life's in danger, so she's going to shoot. But we don't know, like was it just a security guard standing there? Was a security guard trying to stop them? Because based on the reactions of everyone else, it seems like, you know, killing someone is like against the line, like that's like a place they don't go, like they haven't gone there before,
which is the norm, isn't it, for I think
right, exactly,
revolution is this period, because she's like a character who, just back off what you were saying, is almost I'm trying to think of the word, like I think maybe in this kind of line of group in certain moments favors the extremism movement over them, and almost doesn't consider considers the here and now, but doesn't consider the consequences of said actions as well, and seems very outright and very fluent with the movements and very back and forth. Yeah, I agree. She's a really, really interesting character to dissect, especially kind of within these opening moments when you're seeing this wager of power, especially that initial scene with Sean Penn's character, because we really get an introduction into both of them, like probably 10 minutes into the film or something like that. So you really get an introduction straight away as to kind of the wager of power between the two. But yeah, no, carry on.
It's like she's just an interesting character, because basically like Sean Penn will catch her, and she offers basically her body and sex up for kind of staying free. because Sean Penn's just very enamored in her. You know, he makes it very clear he loves black women, and she, you know, kind of offers her body up to save herself. And to me, like, I'm trying to dissect it because it's like she is so focused on revolution, and she's almost such a revolution within herself that like she can't be confined to anything, including a marriage, including a kid, including being a part of a revolutionary group. Like she's almost like so far on the extreme side,
which we have seen, like sorry to interrupt. We have seen historically in real life figures, for example, who that's their only kind of driver and their only goal is that I need to disregard everything around me for the better cause, or the all-time cause, like, rather than the here and now. It's almost
like, yeah, and it's tough because like sometimes you have to view like the bigger picture, because obviously, basically she gets caught and she rats everyone out, and then we get a time jump, and you basically kind of figure out like the French 75 like kind of become sleeper agents in the sense that like they're still working underground, like they're still trying to build these sanctuary cities, still trying to save and protect immigrants, but because of her being a rat and ratting them all out, and well, I mean, multiple of them just get killed. So like obviously they're done being revolutionaries, and some of them get locked up forever. But because of that, like she kind of halts the whole movement they're working for. So it's like her selfishness of preserving herself like almost costs the whole revolution because she's so focused on her own survival. And being a rat, obviously, like at first when she was a rat and how it showed like everyone kind of getting in disguises and starting to make moves, and like Bob obviously moving away to Backtine Cross and everyone else. So I kind of thought at first, I was like, okay, so clearly like they have a plan. Like if you get arrested, be a rat, because and we're gonna have a plan for it where like you basically the plan is be a rat to save yourself. We all got plans to go on our own ways. But then obviously based on how everyone gets killed and then how we view later in the film, people reflect back at Perfidia and kind of think of her negatively. Clearly like that was not the plan for her to just rat everyone out.
Yeah, there's like a very particular scene which obviously we'll get onto that references her in such an explicit way as being a rat and kind of the thoughts of that in the world, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, and that to grapple with like, you know, caring for a kid who really has nothing to do with it, but still kind of being like, it's tough because like, man, she really screwed us all over. But yeah, it's just hard because she obviously like abandons her family, which, you know, is a theme we see in Paul Thomas Anderson films before. I got a lot of like There Will Be Blood from it, where it's like Daniel Day-Lewis so focused on capitalism and his empire that he kind of abandons his family and neglects what's important to him. She does really kind of like the same thing here, abandons her kid, abandons Bob, whereas Bob's just trying to be like a loving father, and he's kind of like, you know, mockingly like, yeah, go do the revolution, baby, kind of like saying like, you know, yeah, we have a purpose here, but we have other things we needed to do at the same time. Like we have a family to take care of. So it's just kind of hard. Like her character, and I'm spending extra time on it because I think she is the most like complex character to dissect in this movie. It's just, she is selfish. She throws her whole revolution under the bus, which hurts their cause for the next 15 years. So it's like, if she's so focused on being a revolutionary, it's like she kind of hurts that whole movement. But I think it's just because she's so grappling with any sort of confines. Like she thinks, or she's kind of going against the fascist American state and being controlled by the government. So she's so single-minded focus on that she can't like really be controlled or oppressed in quotes by anybody, whether it's a husband who's just trying to build a family. Like we never really see Bob do anything that's tying her down. He's just a loving father, having a daughter, like everything about her life is becoming too oppressive. So she kind of has to rage against it, purposely kind of throwing herself into some dangerous situations. And ultimately she gets on witness protection where she ultimately escapes to Mexico, which big thing. If you arrest someone and put them in witness protection program, even if they're a rat, like why are you putting them in a city that's like walking distance to the border of another country? Like I was like, that didn't seem like the smartest idea that she could just kind of like hop in an Uber and just walk into Mexico. I feel like you'd want them a little more under supervision than that.
Yeah, it's not great. It's almost that kind of realization because again, like this is like what 30 minutes into the film when this kind of unfolds and we understand that she's a rat and plus point witness protection, kind of her realization of maybe that world isn't for her anymore. Obviously we see her eventually escape, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not the cleverest idea when you think about it to put someone like right on the border, especially someone with that kind of selfish, single-minded, driven mindset. Do you know what I mean? I found that funny as well when I thought about it, for sure.
Yeah, but it's just tough. I'm still so because basically how I view her character and being so focused on the revolution and how she kind of like left her family for it, and ratted everyone out. makes kind of what we'll get to towards the end, like makes kind of the final scene with like the letter, like just be like less impactful for me, because I'm like, I don't think I like her like, and I don't trust her as a mom to like be like forgiving and like wanting to enter this life now. Cause in my mind, like, and we don't really know what she gets up to in witness protection program over the next 16 years. Bob mentioned she might be in Cuba, might be in Mexico. They don't know where she is. We don't know if she's stirring up revolution there, if she's just laying low. But it's kind of like, if she's like still so singularly focused on the revolution, I don't know if like, what's the point for trying to get engaged with their family's life again? Also, a key thing to me is like Bob says, your mom wrote me this letter a few years ago and I didn't show it to you. I really wish we could know like what's that timeline look like? Was this something like a year after she wrote a letter? Is this like 2 years ago she wrote the letter? I'd really be interested to know that. But it's just, her character is complex to me. She is obviously fighting for like the cause of trying to fight against these oppressive regimes and trying to free people who are wrongfully imprisoned. But also at the same time, she kills a security guard. They're robbing banks. She rats out her whole crew and she ditches her family.
Remind me what the letter said again. Exactly.
Well, it was just kind of her saying like, you know, I miss you. I love you. Like, how's your life going? Are you dating someone?
Oh yeah.
What have you grown into? It's kind of just like a mom, like who's left her family, kind of being like, wow, I miss so much. Tell me everything. And she also says like, I hope, you know, one day when it's safe, we can cross paths again, which is also a big thing. Like, if it's not safe now, will it ever be safe? Cause like in the eyes of Perfidia, she's been out of the country for like 16 years, because Chase Infinity was just born when she left.
Yeah.
And she's like 16. So it's like, you know, I don't know. It's like, and do I want them to, like, I would be kind of scared for her and Chase Infinity to reconnect, because like based on who Perfidia is, I'd be worried like she's almost gonna just use Chase as like a pawn for revolution. And not
this is exactly what I was gonna say. That would be my thoughts in that. In that we see kind of, again, this is kind of, we're in spoilers anyways. People fucking if you're watching this, if you're watching this,
it's just a movie that doesn't work to talk about linearly, so we're gonna have to kind of jump around a lot.
If you're watching this and you haven't seen it, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I think the ending is what I was going to say, is we see her as like this very single-minded, driven person. You know, when in the ending, when the letter is kind of revealed and whatever, it's that political parallel is what my thought process was. But it's paired with very much a political side note of the kind of revolution. Like, because what I took a lot from this film as well is that kind of generational passing down of thoughts and of values and of attitudes. So my thinking is that almost it's a use to try and find another like spring chicken pawn in the revolutionary era, should I speak, like a making another her when she was younger. Years before, obviously we don't know how old she was, but you have to imagine she was like fairly young when she had the kids. And it's kind of making, you know, molding a new revolutionary figure, a new her who could maybe be the forefront. What was her name again? Sorry, Tiana Taylor's character.
Perfidia,
yeah.
Perfidia Beverly Hills, I think, is her full name.
What was Chase Infinity's character name? So escaping me.
Her name was Willa.
Okay, Willa, who could make kind of Willa the forefront, whilst Perfidia is having to be that backdrop. So almost preparing a new puppet for the revolution, so to speak. And that's kind of what I took from it, is pairing the political one and signifying a parental figure trying to bring through the new generation of extremist revolutionary in her eyes. That's kind of what I took from it, rather than it being like rather than it being kind of I see it as more of a strategic move, rather maybe with love attached, but rather than being like the solely love affirmed message of just, oh, how are you? You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's why I don't think. No, I fully agree with your interpretation. I think that's kind of why it didn't work for me, the letter, where I know a lot of people talk about, they're like, oh, I was like in tears at this point, or so emotional, whereas to me, I was like, I just never bought that she like ever had like a love or affection for this kid or family. And I don't personally believe that the 16 years that she's off screen, that enough would change without her being involved in the life. So I was kind of like, I don't know. This isn't like someone who I'm like, I don't think you would be a good mom to Willa. Maybe like if the cause is the revolution, I think, yeah, like if your end goal is only the revolution and continue to fight for political justice, then yeah, you'd want them to reconnect and keep fighting. But it's like from a familial perspective, it just didn't sink in, because I'm like, I don't buy into this relationship. Like, she kind of fucked her whole family. Like, I know you haven't seen The Long Walk yet, but it's very similar to me, which this isn't a spoiler for The Long Walk because it's just like a flashback that doesn't impact the movie. But if you don't want to hear this, like for The Long Walk, just skip ahead 30 seconds. But basically, like Cooper Hoffman's dad in the movie always showed Cooper Hoffman banned books and banned movies and was trying to like fight against a oppressive government in that way by showing him stuff that the government's trying to ban.
Okay,
and because of that, the government takes him out back. He says, you need to get rid of all these books and guns or else we're going to kill you. He says, nope, I'm not going to do it. Like, you're never going to force me to give up my banned materials. And they kill him for it. So it's very similar to me in this, where it's like, they're so focused on the cause, they kind of ditch their entire family for it, because obviously it's like showing your kid. And in this case, like Perfidia kind of showing her daughter, like revolution first, that's never stop the fight. But also it's like completely removing yourself from your family and leaving a daughter to grow up on their own with the father. Like, it's like that. It's just tough because it's like, it's just a complex situation. There's no like, it's just hard to kind of say the pros versus the cons or whatever in that. But another thing too, that I'm like trying to chew on is, so basically maybe the theme to me might be that when you're a marginalized, oppressed group, you have to focus on self-preservation above all else first. So maybe that's why she's a rat. And even though it causes some of her friends to die and everyone else to get kind of screwed, it's like when you're in a marginalized, oppressed group, you have to fight for self-preservation and survival, no matter what, which I also got during, but it's like tough because it's like, I don't know, is that a good message that she's like a rat and people die because of it and she ditched her family, while at the same time at the high school when Willa gets picked up by Regina Hall's character, the army,
I actually love that scene, by the way.
The police start to interrogate like all of her friends, like, does she have a cell phone? What's her number? And they all don't rat her out. But then the trans kid is the one who rats her out. So I'm like, is that also sticking with the theme of like, you're a marginalized, oppressed group, you have to fight?
I think they were non-binary, not trans.
Non-binary, sorry. But it's like, is it because you're more marginalized that you have to fight for your self-preservation above all else? Same as Perfidia, but also it's just like, I don't love that Perfidia, as a black woman leading the revolution, is the one that kind of is the one to tear it all down by ratting people out. While at the same time, the non-binary student is the one who is the reason Willa gets caught. So it's like, I don't love that those are the two that cause. And again, I think thematically, it might just be going for when you're so marginalized and oppressed, you have to fight for self-preservation, even if that means you can't fight for the greater good at that moment. You have to protect yourself. But I just don't know if I'm fully there on that theme, just because like, I don't love that those were the two that kind of were so basically those two kind of single-handedly in the beginning. Perfidia brought down the entire revolution by her being a rat. The trans student was the only reason that they were able to track Willa to that nunnery, because by the time Regina Hall figured out she had a phone, they were basically already there. So they were able to track her pretty far. So those are things I'm grappling with, but I've been talking a lot, and that's kind of where I'll leave it.
Well, it's a difficult one, because I think you're absolutely right in that my interpretation is the same as yours. Probably more of a positive connotation towards it, in that there are these oppressed, kind of marginalized groups who feel the need to self-preserve, in that we don't know what's kind of coming for them without, because they are seen as perhaps easier targets by this kind of governmental figures, which we know exist in today's world. And it's also a difficult conversation to have, because it's like, A, I'm not non-binary. B, I'm not black. C, I'm not a woman. I'm not, I'm just like, I'm not a marginalized group. So it's almost I'm a white man. Do you know what I mean? So I think getting in this conversation is also a difficult one, because it's like, you can only take from the circumstance of the commentary towards people who are part of marginalized groups, whether that's race or gender or whatever it might be. What you can only take from that is kind of, you have to kind of take their word as well in terms of their interpretation, because again, it's going to be based humbly off experiences as well. But the way I saw it is kind of the same as you, is that they use this like these figures because they have to prioritize self-preservation, which is a way you can take it. But it's almost like, I don't know if I can comment on that in a negative sense unless I'm seeing it. Does that make sense? Just because, again,
no, for sure, it's like,
it's hard to comment on something you have no experience. Put ourselves
in those shoes. But like from the outside looking in without having their perspective, like it's like, maybe I would have preferred if like her white friend was the one to cave, because they're so privileged that they don't realize the consequences of what they might be saying. So whereas maybe the marginalized group would be like, no, this is literally survival's on the line, so I'm never gonna kind of speak up. So it's like, maybe that to me might have been an angle I might like a little more, where the white person might realize, might not, because they're so privileged, they might not realize what their consequences would be of just giving up the phone number of a fellow student, that could cost her life. But again, it's a complex movie and it's not an easy movie to digest. So it's fun. And like, that's why Paul Thomas Anderson kind of like just such a masterwork here, because it's not going to give you all tidy answers. And I've read so many reviews, and I've been trying to specifically seek out reviews from Black critics and Black creators online. And it's a wide range of thoughts. And I'm just trying to get as many different perspectives as possible on this movie. Because, sometimes we get just too much in an echo chamber of just, white male, white female,
for sure,
cis white people reviews. So still stuff I'm trying to process there, but those are some of my big issues with Perfidia's character. Tiana Taylor is great. Like, she's a great performer.
Really
you don't get her a ton. She's really only in it like 20 minutes. And then like a voiceover at the end, but that's really it.
It's very minimal. I actually didn't expect it to be as minimal as it was. And I think, again, like a conversation we have about someone I'd actually speak to regarding this is like Tarantino, in terms of getting the most out of each actor, no matter how kind of small their role are. When you watch a Tarantino film, I think, I don't know, like Pulp Fiction, for example, and you take those kind of really small parts of it, but they're all like as good in terms of performances. That's something I would say for Paul Thomas Anderson throughout his career, and especially within this. Like Tiana Taylor, Regina Hall, I think they're both absolutely brilliant. They probably have like combined 30 minutes of screen time, something like that. But I think they're both wonderful, and I think they both play such a pivotal role, and it's such a commanding thing where you can have someone, especially in Regina Hall for me, who is only on screen for about 10 minutes total, if that, like really not much. But you come out of it remembering her performance as such a complimentary action. I do think, obviously, like you said, I don't want to go through this like chronologically the whole way, but I do just want to touch on kind of, because you have to rejig my memory a little bit. What happens? What's like the initial bit after the rap bit? So is it then we're placed back at Bob's house with Willow? Is that Willow? Is that where we are?
Yeah, so
when the friends come over and stuff.
Yeah, because Bob and Willow, they escape to Denver and then to Backton Cross, and now they're in Backton Cross, and jumps forward, and the first thing after the time card is Willa at karate or whatever martial arts.
Of course, with Benicio del Toro.
And then it's her kind of going home and talking to her father, and he kind of learned about the kids, and then Leo just being stoned out of his mind, being crazy.
I love how like one of the kind of very marginal, like small commentaries in this, especially with Leo's character, is his kind of almost resistance to be in the modern world, with like phones and stuff, for a really key thing when he's kind of he just doesn't know how to use one. He's just like a classic parent. I kind of love that, because again, just to come back to what I said earlier, it's like PTA is one of his first films since whenever someone has to tell us there's not been a period piece, and you've got this like main guy using a phone, and he just no fucking idea what to do with it. I'd love that. And again, like it goes back to the point of this whole kind of sequence when they're at home for the first time, and Willa's friends come over. It's just so fucking funny to me, because it goes back to what you were saying in terms of, I don't know anybody else who could play the role as well as Leo does in this situation. He's so funny. He's so out there. He's so ridiculous. He's so defensive, which is his mind, because of what he's been through and because of the position he's in, where they've escaped to Denver. He really is just like paranoia level to the absolute fucking max. And everyone's a threat. Everyone's a security threat, no matter who and what they are. And you've got these kids come over, and it's like, it almost reminded me of like the fucking, do you know the scene in like Bad Boys 2 where Martin Lawrence's daughter has like a date and he comes over and they're like threatening him at the door? It almost like reminded me of that, because it's like that weird, obviously in different circumstances, paranoia inducing like thoughts where you're having people kind of come around and take your daughter, I guess, in Bob's sense, away. And I just love this scene. I think it's really, really good to showcase the modern world and kind of the performances, but also their relationship, kind of, because again, this is the initial point of view of where we've got, where it's fast forward like 16 years, wasn't it? So we kind of get the initial interactions with the two of them and how Bob feels in that situation. Also, their place is like really small. Like crazy.
Yeah, it's like basically like a trailer home, but it's not. It's an actual home, but it's in the middle of the woods. But like kind of in parallel of when this is happening. So her friends are picking up to go to the dance, and a very funny scene. But I guess right before that, I forgot, is Bob talking like at a parent teacher conference. Hilarious. She just starts like vaping in the teacher's office, and she's like,
"Oh yeah, you can't do that." Of course,
like God, hilarious. But
it's like the classic, almost. It's like a caricature of that anti, piss taking revolutionary you'd see in like all classic films as well. Do you know what I mean? The guy who would like portray Che Guevara in like this like ridiculously like bland comedy or whatever. It's kind of that classic caricature of it, which I really enjoyed as well. The vaping scene, that's very funny.
Yeah,
I
he's
love
vaping in
the
teacher's
inclusion of
office when
vaping.
he's trying to make sure they're talking about the true sides of American history. And during this is kind of, there's an overlay while he's talking to the teacher of showing Sean Penn at a detention center, figuring out about Backton Cross and then saying like, find me a reason to go there. So that's why the next scene, when it's like the friend's coming over to bring her to the dance, in parallel, Sean Penn and I don't think they're ICE agents, but basically some militarized group he has with them head their way to Backton Cross where they live. So they're going to the dance. Sean Penn and his crew are coming to capture Bob and Willa, because for a couple of reasons, I guess. Yeah, it's hard for them to talk about linearly because we found out before this too. Sean Penn is trying to join the Christmas Adventurers Club, which is a white supremacist society where it seems like the most powerful, rich white men in America are a part of it. Well, I guess it's so America, but we don't know. I mean, this based on how much resources they have, this might be like a global.
I mean, it's something you could take in like a number of ways, especially in like the Western world. You could take it like in that instance, but I think in terms of America, we know things like this have happened. It's it's very much a play on that, and I think the scenes with them, like the first initial scene where I guess is the first scene with them where they're all sat on that table.
The first scene is when he goes to like that guy's daughter's wedding and they go into that conference room. He's like, you want to be a part of this club?
Oh yeah, of course.
And he's like,
yeah.
He's like, sorry for all the secrecy. And it's just funny. Like I love the casting for the Christmas Adventures Club was so perfect because all of them are like in the film so minorly, but they all crush it so well. But like when Sean Penn walks in there, which clearly from the jump, you realize like this guy doesn't belong here. He's not posh. He's not put together. He's not a wealthy kind of like looking guy.
He's like seen as lower than them, isn't he?
Right, because they're like, sorry, we had to sneak you in here. It's my daughter's wedding, and she has a dress code of formal. We don't want to embarrass you. It's like very much they're like we don't want this guy in khakis and a suit jacket walking around this like tuxedo mansion. He's like sneak him in there, but then it's like basically figuring out like, do you want to be part of the club? And basically what they say at the very end is, okay, you're submitted for consideration. We have to do like a very thorough background check on you. So obviously Willa, we find out, is potentially his son because him and Tiana Taylor at least once had sex together when she was kind of doing it as a way for her to go free. So it could be Bob's daughter, could be his daughter. We don't know. So he kind of is so focused on finding Willa as his daughter because because part of the club, he can't even have sexual relations with a black woman. So
a rumor at the start, I think it's like the rumor is that again he has a like a mixed race baby, had a kid with a black woman, and that's kind of the whole thing, and it's really like shunned and so frowned upon explicitly. It's actually ridiculous. Again, like not to re-say the same point, but it really goes back to what I was saying about how they get the most out of every individual actor because the people on the club are just so perfect and every it's almost exactly how you like picture them. Those people like that, mannerisms and all. And they were so like brilliant and like disgusting and evil and seedy and they worked perfectly. And do you know what I loved as well? When the guy is entering the HQ and he goes through that like woman's house and like down the stairs and through a tunnel. It's just so like ridiculous and kind of takes what almost it's very much like a conspiracy theorist of mindset of how it would look in a dreamlike world where they've got like, these little weird tunnels and then it leads to like a big like upper class venue almost. It's so ridiculous and I loved kind of how unsubtle it was in those moments and just explicit and like balls to the wall, so to speak, in terms of his tone.
It's similar to like Eddington with the Antifa, how it's like they're in private jets. They have a full arsenal. Yeah. It's like the most like sensationalized vision of them. It's like with these Christmas Adventures Club, like, these white supremacist groups in America, like they have like these layers under houses and tunnels that connect. And like, they have like these chambers that they can meet in.
Like quite literally in this sense. It really is like, again, it's like the visual representation of like what I said in my review, like the underworld of America. That's exactly how you'd picture it. That's exactly how it portrayed in like a Family Guy cartoon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a Family Guy episode in terms of the way it's portrayed there.
Paul Thomas Anderson is genius at like riding the line of like satire and comedy with real issues in this film. But it's like, it's just that scene, the whole, like the old guy, I think Kevin Teague is his name, like
Yeah.
like kind of like the leader of the Christmas Adventures Club. Such a great performance.
It's called the Christmas
Fire
Adventures
performance
Club as well.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So
and they say Hail
ridiculous.
Saint Nick.
Hail Saint Nick.
Yeah, how he's like clean it. I want to eat off the floor. I'm like, God, this guy's like so evil in like the most like subtle way. And the main kind of guy who's like the liaison, like Tony Goldwyn, like the man who's like trying to get him in to the group. Loved him as well. He's just so like unsettled with how like put together he is, with how he looks in terms of not like his skin color, but I mean in terms of like he has nice hair, he has a tuxedo, but like when you contrast that with what he's saying, it's just such an evil like contradiction where you're like you want to think this guy's like smart and put together, but he's really just like one of the most evil people. But then like the tracker that they have, like they're all so great.
Yeah. It's like what we think about like kind of the modern world today in terms of like that presentation. And again, not to skip forward in time, but I just have to mention it. You know, so the the end of Sean Penn's character, when kind of it's been that initial. We'll go to this in a second, but after everything that kind of happened, and he is almost like fucking half-face at this point. I don't know how the fuck he survived that. It's incredible. But when he's kind of finally in his mind accepted in that world, you know, he's gone through this full burden in his own mind of hatred to get where he wants. And I love the parallel between, like, again, it's so obvious, but love and hate with Leo's character and Sean Penn's character, and how he's been through this whole like minefield of hatred. And he's finally got back, and he's finally at the point where he can be accepted into this group. It kind of comes at his own demise. And it's so like sick, but you know, so essentially he goes into like a room, it's like portrayed, you know, they say like, you know, this is your new office. He's got like a lovely office or a really nice fucking like view and stuff. And he's like, oh, why don't you get yourself acquainted or whatever he says, and leaves the room. And he's just sat there and he's like, okay, this is it. You know, this whole thing has been, I mean, the Christmas Club, whatever it's called now, this whole thing's been, you know, this burden of hatred I've carried for so long, and what I've done has it's all led perfectly. And then they just basically gas him, don't they? And
gas him and cremate him.
It's so, bro, the way fucking they just like drag his body out in his face, like it's so sick, but people were dying in my cinema at that moment. Because again, he is like the symbolization of pure hatred. And I love the parallel between him and Leo's character, but I just wanted to will him on because it's
yeah, and it's like because they're obviously, to the Christmas Adventures Club, he is the biggest like version of evil we need to cleanse from society, because they're, you know, confronting with the enemy in the sense of, you know, sleeping with the black woman. Sure. So they have to kill him and gas him and cremate him, which, you know, very on the nose for what obviously World War II and Nazism. And but yeah, that's another thing. Like I didn't love the ending, and since we're there, we'll talk about it, because again, we're not really caring about going linearly through this. Is I didn't love that he survived the initial like shot and car, and I would have liked it if like thematically they went for something different with the ending, because I get that they're basically like something as hateful as these white supremacists. Like you can't just, it's not an easy resolution you can have killed and taken care of, and they're going to keep coming back no matter how much you think you eradicate them. They're always going to survive and prevail, and it's going to take every bit of energy to actually kill these people off and end this line of thinking, which I thought was kind of where they were going to go with it. And then like Leo or Willard or someone was going to end up like killing him or doing the final thing. But then
I thought
the fact that he goes back to the Christmas Adventures Club, and like, I get that they're probably trying to show that they're so powerful, rich, and connected that they're able to take this man on the brink of death and perfectly heal him up and give him a brand new face. And they have this high-rise skyscraper and a great downtown location. It's like, wow, these people really are powerful and rich. They have their own, like, they're just hiding in plain sight. They have their own buildings. But then the fact that like and I was like, okay, maybe with the white people killing him off at the end is like the only way you can truly fight this white supremacy is from within, but that like doesn't work, because there's still this white supremacist super group that kill him off, and like they're still very much in power. So I get it, because it's like you got to keep fighting, and the fight's always going to be there, and white supremacy can't just be defeated. It's in a simple, tidy way. But I guess I just didn't love that he survived the car crash, shotgun shot to the face, and then just for him to survive. Like humorous and fun for what it was, for how they kill him off. But I just don't think it added anything to the film to me thematically for him to like survive and then go to their headquarters and get gas. I don't know. I think to me, if they would have shaved the 5 minutes off and just had him die in the car crash and not have that whole end thing, I think it shows us some things that add to the story with the, you know, the gassing and cremation and how, you know, much that is thematically sinister, and showing how powerful these people are. They have this whole society, but I don't know. I think with the whole tunnels, we kind of already got that. And yeah, I don't know. To me, I just wish he would have died just right away, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I definitely get it. I think it all depends on your defense, and I did actually think he was going to die in that initial kind of scene with Bob and Willow's character. It's a difficult one because I do think that it's one you could take much from, but I actually go with kind of what you said initially, is that it's kind of that ultimate display of authority and power. As you've got a guy who kind of revels in his success, so to speak. And you get this guy who is burdened by hatred at his highest point, elevated, you know, like fist of his face and been through it all, but now he's finally in a position of peace in his mind. And you've got this kind of oppressive supremacist group who can take that all away in a moment. I quite liked that, like that feeling, that notion of systemic power and kind of how high it goes and how they really can just you know, clean you up the one moment, fix you up, and then they kill you off the next. For me, I actually think that was perfect because again, it's that, like you actually said, it's the will live on. So I actually don't think we have a difference in interpretation. I think it's maybe just a difference in like desire for the way that ended. I guess I did actually think initially he was going to die from that moment, but I did quite like the show of authority there from the said group.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do want to discuss as well before we move on. Actually, well, we're not even fucking. One of my favorite scenes is, I love this scene. It's when it's the Leo and Benicio del Toro like escape sequence. Man, this was unbelievable.
It's so cool how connected that city is and works together. And
it's like they're like, it's like fucking, like he's like a superhero almost, like with this little like group, this pack.
Literally.
So like Willa, obviously they go to Willa's school, whatever. And the running thing about, so obviously there's like a helpline, I guess you could speak, like a revolutionary helpline for the what they call French
75
for 176. And he continuously, like, what's the question he gets asked that he just doesn't know the answer to?
It's like Green Acres, Beverly Hills, something. And
no, but what is the question? It's just like,
well, eventually they get to the point where they ask him a question, what time is it? But first it's
because the first, that's a, there's some bunch of questions, whatever, and he knows, but the question, the answer just continuously doesn't know is what time is it? And they're just like not shifting. It just keeps ringing. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. But you know, when he said it was 8:15, at first I was like, okay, what if he actually is just asking what time it is?
Right.
Because I love the introduction of these two, and like, you've almost got Benicio del Toro as like this street level hero with like this pack of, like, you know, again, very sensationalized. You've got like this huge building that seems to go on forever that eventually leads to like that of their living home. But then the escape sequence across the rooftops where you've got these guys who are kind of rear heads and Leo from behind. And I love that moment where he doesn't, bro. Sorry, when he falls off the roof, I died.
It took me a second to process what happened. I was like, wait, what? How did that happen? Because like when it shows them on the rooftops, like the skaters like jumped so casually. It didn't look like they made a big leap or anything. And then Leo just like
lands in this like tree thing.
Fully John Wick 3 ending where like he just falls off the thing into the tree and splats out.
Bro, it actually fucking killed me because I was like, it's so, again, well placed to the comedy, but you know, you've got this like really intense, anxiety-inducing escape sequence across these rooftops. Which in actuality is kind of ridiculous because some of those jumps were far. I used to do free running. I know they're far. Like, he wasn't making a few of those. But it's just the way it's shot, and like the music stops, and he just falls off the roof. So fucking funny.
And gets tased.
Because it's just like over at that point. Because it just gets caught.
Yeah, because he gets caught immediately.
They're literally there, like as soon as he falls. I love everything from that. His first kind of initial interaction with Del Toro's character kind of blew me away. They were my favorite, probably my favorite bit of the movie. It's just that kind of streamlined escapism from both of them, and how Benicio del Toro's character, the sensei, is like orchestrating it all so wickedly and creatively and brilliantly. It's like they all had this getaway planned as a revolution. He's like that hero character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I was watching an interview with Leo and Benicio del Toro. They're talking about how like Benicio del Toro's character is never supposed to be that big of a part of the movie, and like have this whole
I saw that as well.
But they kind of built it into it, which is crazy because the way it comes across is so intricate and well done in the movie. But he has this whole inner working society of a sanctuary city in Backtown Cross, and you have all these people in the streets fighting against police oppression. And then obviously you have the moment where the police kind of send in one of their own sleeper agents to then kick off the riot. But then the riot happens between the police and the rioters and protesters. And then the skater kids kind of skate away, but you kind of realize they're like almost like the heralds of the city. Like they have all the connections.
Herald.
Exactly. They keep everyone in tune of what's going on. Benicio del Toro is very much the mastermind, knows everyone, knows everything. He has this underground tunnel of.
He literally is like an underground. He's like the kingpin, isn't it?
Yeah, literally. He knows everyone. They're well connected. You see a lot of Leo's empathy as a character. As every single person he meets during this, he clearly just he just speaks to them with such kindness, even though he's in the middle of a chaotic crisis. You know, all of Benicio del Toro's family in the apartment. Just a great scene where he's just tracking through the gas station to the apartment. Like you get to see all these people that are within this
well shot
society. So well shot. And again, so hilarious with Leo of every single time throughout this long walk from the gas station to the apartment. It's like every single outlet he passes, he like stops by to plug his phone in. Benicio's like, bro, come on, keep going. He's like, I'm charging my phone.
I'm charging my phone.
It's like anytime bro would see an outlet, he would just fiend to like plug in that phone. We're not there yet.
Installing this like almost performative paranoia into it as well, where the phone is kind of the forefront when they're trying to escape, essentially. I love that. And again, it kind of really another kind of film that really shows Leo's ability as a comedic actor as well, because he is like
he's one of one.
It's got to be his funniest role, no?
I think so. I mean, he has moments in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that are just
Wall Street is very
Wolf
funny.
of Wall Street, but like this is, I don't know, man. I just can't picture anyone doing this. What he did in this movie, it's just,
I agree.
And he's not my favorite performance in the movie. Some other I think would like reach higher heights, but it's still like he just does stuff, man. That like I just can't see anyone. The comedy mixed with like the bumbling idiot fumbling and stumbling around the city, mixed with him being so caring and loving to his daughter, and like
driven by kind of love in the second half, but also
he's just a master
by revolutionary. It is one probably. I think I did a ranking actually. It is like up there with my favorite Leo performance.
Didn't you put it at 3 or 2?
It would have been
Killers and Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, it was 3. It was 3. So Once Upon a Time would be 1. Killers would be 2.
I watch your videos. I know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, it is actually one of my favorite. Just because again, it's like, okay, you know, just to compare it, not to go off rail, but like, okay, let's say like a Shutter Island or an Inception.
Mm-hmm.
Really good performances. But I just think this is so layered, and it almost is like, again, not to echo the same thing you've said 3 times, but it's so one of one as a performance. Yeah. It's like watching. I can't see any other actor doing what Daniel Day-Lewis could do in Phantom Thread. I can't. Like it's just perfect. Mm-hmm. It's like seeing that, and then that's how in my head I think, okay, this is like a masterful performance, and I think it was. Mm-hmm. And it's funny as well because I actually agree with you. Probably my joint favorite performance of the film, but I think this performance is are at the same level, or at least a performance, which is incredible in itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the tracking scene, genius. Loved it.
So at this point, basically he gets tased and gets caught, and then
instantly.
It's resolved pretty quickly. Basically, they're in the sanctuary city, so the hospital has nurses that are in it, so they help him escape. He gets in Del Toro's car.
Oh yeah, cool scene actually. Yeah. Where she's like, go to the right, go down the hole, or whatever, and he's like, what? Go to the right, down the hole, and he just gets out. I love the inner workings because it really shows kind of how much, I guess, bigger of an institution of a group than we kind of initially realized, and the connections that they have. That it really is kind of built in this way of you've got 2 huge sides, both in the extremes of that are kind of warring, and they are such big groups now. I love that moment in the hospital. I thought it was great. Really, really well done.
Yeah, another moment I think sells that really well is when what's his name? The guy who's like the radio talk show, kind of just giving the news to the sanctuary city when he gets caught by the police and bagged and tagged. How the kids who you're just like, oh, they're just kids sitting on the side of the road. It's like, no, they're very much in the sanctuary city, involved in the system as well. They run right in there, say the code word, saying that he's been caught to kind of alert the whole city that, we're being under attack here. We gotta lock in. So yeah, it's just this whole sanctuary city moment when Backtown Cross is so great. And now that this movie wasn't actually called The Battle of Backtown Cross. I like the title One Battle After Another. I don't think it's a downgrade or anything, but I think both of them would have been cool names.
I just think One Battle After Another is just so like fitting.
It just so works for the theme of the movie and like how you just can't stop fighting and how obviously they dropped the name of the title right after the title card where Leo's kind of says like after that it's One Battle After Another. So I think it just works better for the movie. But I think at this point we've covered everything except like now that he escapes the hospital, Benicio del Toro picks him up in the car, and now we have the whole father with Willa or Sean Penn Willa situation of figuring out if custody or not custody, figuring out if father, he's the daughter. And in parallel, Leo's chasing, getting away, and he ends up chasing the car with Willa in it because we do find out that it is Sean Penn's son, which we all kind of saw coming. But that's such a tense scene where he's like, if these line up, like he's just and the fucking dude, the funniest part to me of the movie is like why is your shirt so tight? He's like, I'm not homosexual, I'm not gay.
Oh my god,
Sean Penn, man, people are like, I see people like, I don't know, I get it, Sean Penn's a horrible person. I don't know if that's going into it where people are just gonna say like he's
someone said that he was like
and so
terrible.
Cartoonish.
Well, yeah, of course he's fucking cartoonish though. That's like,
I don't think it is in the way, like, I don't think it's I think Sean Penn is always in 100% control of that character. I think he is he's over the top in his performance, but I don't think it's ever in a way that like, I thought that performance was genuinely perfect. I genuinely
I think, but then I wouldn't use cartoonish as a derogatory term. I think it's cartoonish in that he is this kind of character that epitomizes hate, but in this silly and absurdist way, and in a PTA way. I think he was like
his face, his mannerisms with his mouth, and the way he walked.
Yeah, like the way
such
he
a physical
reacts.
performance too. Yeah.
Oh man, bro, guy was on so much gear for that role. I'll tell you that right now.
Dude, he had to be like in the grocery stores. He would leave. He's like, "Do you like black women?" And he's like, "I love them." And he's like about to explode. Yeah. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy's going crazy.
It's like, you are right, because it's so like the performance itself, like surpassing just the acting. In particular scenes like the scene with Willa's character where they kind of have the initial kind of conversation in the chapel, so to speak. I think that it is such a physical performance. Like every time the camera's on him, the mannerisms he pulls off or whatever, it really just screams like evil and so one of one, so individual. Again, it's something I'm looking at like, who the fuck could do that? Like he did that. Do you know what I mean? It is so wicked. Even the way, like you said, even the way he walks, like even the way, like even how, like his posture, the way his like shoulders are up, the way he dresses, it's so ridiculous and it's so heightened. And I actually equally saw some tweets that were kind of saying that he was bad, and I'm like Sean Penn, I don't like him at all as Sean Penn, but equally I'm like, he was unbelievable. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? He was so perfectly fit for that character, just so driven by hate and lust in part. I think he was perfect, like you said, for sure.
Yeah, we forgot to mention the great scene of Regina Hall getting Willa in the bathroom of the school, and how intense that scene is, and how your stomach just drops, and how it's kind of a realization for Willa that this father who just seemed like a conspiracy theorist, crazy guy all these years, that seemed paranoid, really was right all along, and that there is people out there with these messages, and they got her.
Because she has the what do they call it?
I don't even know, like little some weird devices.
It's like a walkie-talkie, but not a walkie-talkie.
Yeah,
it's like a what the fuck would you call it?
I don't know, some proximity device or something, whatever. But
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, she picks them up. And that's how they get to the nunnery, where they get tracked because they have the phone, which we touched on earlier. When they get to the nunnery, you meet some of the old people of French 75, who this is kind of where they escape to. after being let go of custody. And you kind of learn that, her mom was a rat, and that everyone in the French 75 except Regina Hall's a little more empathetic to Willa, but the rest of the crew, you can tell clearly has zero love in their hearts for.
They have hatred, generational hatred,
perfidia.
that passed down hatred. This is what we spoke about earlier in terms of that. This is where we see the explicit hatred towards, okay, she was a rat, and it's like the notion of maybe it was planned altogether. It was like, no, she was just
very
it
much
was
so.
one of one. Yeah, for sure.
But they find him. Leo's kind of watching over the sniper, tries to take out Sean Penn, is unable to. But when Sean Penn realizes that it is his daughter, he has to take care of it. But obviously he's such a loser and pathetic person himself that he's not going to be able to do it himself. He has to give it off to some hitman. So he drives her off, gets that tracker guy who we already saw earlier in the film, who I love him. He barely says any words the whole movie, but he's like the Native American mixed guy. He's so great in the movie as well.
Oh yeah.
And he basically, Sean Penn pawns him off on him. He says he doesn't do kids, so they're going to bring him to some kind of violent white
crazy
militarized camp to have them
scene.
take care of it. Crazy scene. So he drives her there, and then it's just such a wild action sequence that I just didn't know PTA had in him, where you can tell this guy's clearly this is fucked up with this kid,
battling with his own morality. That's when he's like,
he just takes them all out.
He literally just straight up, but it's like, whoa. It's a sort of action sequences where, again, I didn't know PTA was capable, where they were shocking. Do you know what I mean? It made me sit up a little bit more and jolt in my seat, and the sound of them, the sound of the bullets being shot, the sound of the cars, every moment had this kind of piercing noise, and real shock to it as well, which again, this whole sequence which is referred to set off probably, as we were referring to earlier, one of the PTA in 2025 is revolutionizing fucking car chase sequences, which is a fucking joke, by the way. How are you doing that? Do you know what I mean? It's he really is just taking the piss out of everyone. The car chase sequence, man. So how does it? Anything we missed after that? I just want to make sure I'm not missing it. After he kills them, chased, Willa kind of gets away, so to speak.
Yeah. After that, Bob kind of gets Willa, and then they go back to his house and they read the letter. And in parallel,
no, I want to see the chase sequence.
Yeah, no. I thought you were saying, do we miss anything other than that?
Oh no, I meant
no.
Yeah, we kind of because we've done this review not like we usually do, which I quite like, to be honest.
We've kind of easier. It's too hard to. But
we spoke about the letter, didn't we? Yeah.
The tracker guy kills everyone in the compound. He also dies. So basically, it seems like the shootout kills pretty much everyone there, and she has to grab his car keys and drive away for freedom. But then that guy who wanted the banana pancakes is back, and he has his Mustang with a supercharged engine that just sounds incredible in the surround sound of a movie theater.
So good.
Just you feel it in every fiber of your body when he's just revving that engine, chasing her down. And meanwhile, first he's chasing down Sean Penn, which we kind of mentioned earlier. And you see this in the trailer. You don't know who it is in the car that kind of dives off the edge of the road and crashes, but it is Sean Penn after he gets shot with a shotgun to the face.
How is he gets shot in the face? Car goes off the road. How the fuck are you surviving that? He is literally the Terminator. It's ridiculous. Crazy.
He's very motivated to survive.
Because again, it's like that, showing the capabilities of someone that surface level and appearance in this guy is so upper middle class American civilian, so to speak, and it's showing the kind of dangerous nature of them, but in the most kind of unsubtle way. But that seems crazy.
Based on how strict the Christmas Adventures Club is to their mission and goal of cleansing America, and you'd think that the guy who shoots Sean Penn would be killed next, because basically he shoots him. Sean Penn crashes his car. The guy gets out of his car to go down and verify he's dead. Look in the car. So if I'm the leader of a group, I'm like, you didn't put what's the rule number 2 of Zombieland the movie? Double tap. Always make sure they're dead, man, because Sean Penn is a fucking zombie in this movie, and you got to make sure they're
crazy.
Dead. he survived. There's a little fucking Walter White from Malcolm in the Middle walk where he's doing the speed walk, down the road. But no, so he's dead. You think he's dead. Leo drives and finds him out, and that's who he was chasing. But then Leo realizes that Willa is not in that car, so he goes and chases after the tracker guy who's tracking Willa. So it's kind of like a 3-man car race where Willa is driving away from the Christmas adventurer, who's driving away from Leo, and they're just riding these waves of the hills of this road.
And Leo's like quite far behind at this point, isn't he?
Very far. And his car is like by far the worst car.
The worst
He's
one.
not going to be able to keep up.
And the road, and then the front of the car shot, the POV, like the car POV shots when it's like up and down on these kind of like, again, like you said, like riding the waves of these hills and these unbelievable. Like it truly gobsmacked me because it's such in essence, a simply shot car sequence, but it's just in the way it's used in the cars, like kind of POV, so to speak, so good, like completely electric in every single way. Because it goes on.
Feels like you're in a roller coaster when you're in the movie theater.
It really does, yeah.
You feel your stomach like sink with each hill, and you're like,
yeah, literally, like when you go down, it literally, and it probably goes on for like a good 10 minutes or so, and it's so good. It's so good.
Will is so smart with how she resolves it because I'm too stupid. I didn't even realize. I was like, clearly they're showing us with all the hills that you can't see the car anymore. I'm like, yeah, it should be obvious to any logical person. You should just park the car at the top. But I was too dumb to realize that when she parked. I'm like, oh shit, that's smart. I wasn't mentally. Dude rams into the back of her car. She does the whole like Beverly Hills, whatever code name, and he doesn't understand it. So then she shoots him once, and then he tries to shoot back, and she shoots him like 5 times. She knows how to double tap. She Christmas Adventure should learn from this.
This is actually and this was a worry to me, right? So so she kills him, and then Leo gets there, and she's like, password, and she's like, Bob's like, well, it's me, whatever. Initially, I don't know if you thought that. I thought this was going to be an ending, right, where she would shoot him.
I would have been so mad.
And the whole thing in her mind would have been this, like thematic, blinded by violence, desensitized at that point. The paranoia, the untrusting nature, the everyone's out to get me. I was like, she's going to shoot him, and I'm going to fucking hate this ending. Yeah, but luckily that didn't come. But there was like for a split second, I was like, oh no, please just don't. Because obviously she's full of rage. She's at a really heightened exposure where she's obviously
adrenaline off the roof.
Yeah,
she's only 16, has no idea how to handle this emotion.
Just shot someone, been in a car chase, not thinking straight. But yeah, luckily it didn't end like that because that wouldn't have been good at all.
I would have also. I'm really happy, and I'm glad they didn't have like a corny scene where it's like, her grappling with Leo not being her real father. Like I feel like I'm so glad they just never even addressed that.
Same.
Just like, because that would have been so annoying. Like, oh, you're not my real dad or anything like that. Like, I'm happy it ended the way it did. So all that stuff was great. It was just, there's no notes. It was perfect. That whole car chase sequence and how it ended.
I think we missed anything. That feels like pretty good coverage.
Yeah. Because after that we already talked about like how.
We spoke about the end.
We get the letter, and then
Sean Penn's
Sean Penn gets killed off, and the movie ends with basically there's a protest going down in Oakland, which is about 3.5 hours from them, and she goes off, and he's like, be careful, and she's like, I won't, and then the movie ends
again. Generational
with an American Girl needle drop,
passing it down, generational, don't care attitude, revolution, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, one ball after another. Perfect film for me.
I can't think of anything else. Yeah,
I love this film so much, and shortly I'll say where it lands in my PTA Ranked.
To me, just to comment back on what I mentioned at the very beginning of this, with how I said it's like there's some things in it that might hold me back from a 5 fully, as it might drop over time. So just be prepared. And someone already commented saying like, based on the way your review reads, that this already sounds like something you're going to drop, and we'll see if I do or not. Part of me was just the highs are so high that if Cam gave it a 5, I wanted to keep it in the ReelTok collection. But this still could easily win ReelTok Best Picture. So I mean, that's like something that has a chance. We'll see.
That's very true.
But
I think it would right now. But it has a 4.5 average. That's insane.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it'll obviously drop as like more people that are.
Will it though? It's gone up. Which never happened.
Yeah, but I think it's like it went up because like the opening weekend, I feel like people are excited, but now the word of mouth.
Yeah, maybe.
And people are going to love this movie in general, but I think like, I don't think we're going to be getting. I think 4.4, 4.3 might be where it lands. We'll see.
Which is still like
once Oscar buzz happens, and if it gets nominated, then the people who are trying to watch all the Oscar movies, that might drop it a little bit too. But it'll still never go below like a 4.0.
Well, my initial thought was when I watched this, I was like, obviously, because there was no average rating when I watched it or anything. because the embargo ended like that night. And I obviously thought, this will be a crowd pleaser. But I almost thought a lot of people would hate it as well. Purely for the fact, of how unsubtle it is, maybe how erratic it is. I thought people might hate, but like for it to be right now, obviously this won't, like Tyler said, this will go down. But for right now, it to be its highest rated PTA film ever, amid a filmography of greatness across the board, insane. But it will be interesting to kind of see the legs this has, especially when it comes to the box office, and also just see kind of how it is beginning to be received. Because Tyler, I'm not going to lie to you, my friend. My friend's average right now, and I follow like 200 people, is a 4.8.
That's great. I want to. Can you see it on desktop? I always forget how to see it on desktop. Oh, if you click on rating, maybe
can.
Click on rating.
You can do it somehow. If you click on like the ratings, then it should give you an option of friends. No.
I don't know. I'll just go. I'll pull it up on my mobile. But yeah, 4.8 for your friends rating. Let's see what mine is. It's got to be high. Probably the same. We have a lot of the same mutuals. Yeah, 4.8 for mine as well.
That's like. I need to. Sorry, I need to just compare. Right, I need to just tell everyone listening. Right. So if I go on Dune 2, for example, which again was received in a similar way, with 5 stars and whatever. My friends' ratings are 4.5. And again, more people have seen it, but still, 4.8. That's probably the highest ever.
Insane.
That's like crazy.
Yeah. For me, like now seeing it twice, I mentioned this in my review as well. It's like a lot of what I loved about this firmly cemented it, but also like the issues I had, like I was kind of hoping to see it again to like clear those up, but it's like there's still kind of issues for me. So it's a 5, could go down. I'm gonna say it's a firm 5 for now. I will say though, like to me, this is firmly. Better's the wrong word. It's like firmly a film I prefer more than Sinners. So like basically, if this ever drops a 4.5, Sinners would as well. Like that's the only way because I just can't.
Oh, I didn't know you 5 Sinners.
Yeah, I couldn't. It was Sinners. I've seen 3 times now. I couldn't see moving this below Sinners. So like basically, it's like both of them are dropping, or none of them are dropping, or maybe only Sinners does. But basically, like this, what I'm trying to say is this is always in my like rankings going to be above Sinners. So the only way I drop is if I also drop Sinners, which might happen. I don't know. We'll see. But
so for me, this is like right now, I would say it's very much like the same feeling and thoughts I had to watching Killers of the Flower Moon or Oppenheimer or Furiosa or whatever, where I am kind of at that point where it's like in and among around the top 5 of the decade. I adored this. And anything else, or are we kind of moving on to PTA ranking? Yes.
Yeah, I'm definitely not there for top 5 of the decade or anything for me. But like, because I can definitely see this not finishing the year as number 1, which is me being hopeful something else is that good at the end of the year. But no, great movie. Love talking about it with you. But yeah, we'll talk about other PTA.
I feel like we covered everything quite.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't go in order, but I think we hit everything that we needed to. So.
I mean, we did. We waffled quite a while because there's only 2 of us. To be fair,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
how do we want to go through PTA's filmography? Because obviously we're not going to really super in depth with each film, but
I guess we can just do like really, really basic thoughts. I was going to do it like chronologically, so we can kind of again look at that adjustment throughout his career. So let me just get up the. Okay, here we go. So obviously, again, I've not been able to rewatch all of these. So there's a few of these I'll be like give very basic thoughts on, like a Magnolia or an Inherent Vice, so to speak. But there are a few. I know you. So his first film, obviously in '96, was Hard A, which is one that typically kind of falls within the lower range of, I would argue, most people's PTA ratings as a ranking, as it is like kind of semi-typical. Tracks see the visions almost, and I think as a debut, it's actually a lot better than most notable debuts. I would argue. I actually really like it. I know you've rewatched it. Was it first watch?
First watch.
What did you kind of think about it on a base level?
Yeah, so to me, it is obviously I haven't watched all of PTA's films like for this rewatch, so I don't know if it's going to end up in last place for me. If it doesn't end up in last place, I would not be surprised because I do really like this movie. I will say it feels the least like a PTA movie in the sense that I think I mentioned this when I watched it for the first time the other week. That I was like, if I watched this blindly and had to guess a director, like obviously if I was like didn't know film as well, so I wouldn't know filmography. So basically, obviously I know Tarantino didn't direct this, but this felt very Tarantino to me.
I know what you mean.
So
It's
it's just
almost
like, to me,
finding
it
its
didn't
footing
feel
as
like the
well.
most like it didn't have as distinctive a style as like basically everything else from PTA. So that's kind of a downside for it. And the film itself is kind of not formulaic because there's other things that happen that take you off guard. And all the performances are great. I really love John C. Reilly, Philip Baker Hall, Gwyneth Paltrow's fun in this, and you get a little Samuel L. Jackson.
It's kind of just like
and Philip
typical,
Seymour
isn't it?
Hoffman at the craps table. Just this little scene is amazing.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's a very good movie, and there's nothing really else negative or positive I can say. It's just like there's nothing about it that I watched. I'm like, this is great stuff, but there's never anything I'm like, I don't love this. I just watched it. It ended. I was like, yeah, that's just a good debut, good movie. Had a good time with it. Wasn't anything revolutionary though.
Yeah, it's like very almost typical. It's obviously PTA finding his footing, which we see a lot with like director debuts. But it really is just narratively very fun. I think performances, again, you can see in the early years how strong he was able to get from his actors. Philip Baker Hall as well is always fucking so good in PTA films. So good. And that brings us on to his next film a year later at the age of like 26, was it 27 when it released?
Yep, crazy.
Boogie Nights, which I rewatched last week, and I bumped this up to a big 5. What a film. Like, again, it really is just everyone at the peak of their powers. Like, every single person. It's classic kind of dark truths of industry, dream to nightmare, going from the highest highs to the lowest lows. We've seen similar, like you could argue, obviously, again, not in a pornographic actor sense, but in like, a Babylon, for example, in terms of the pitfalls of that, in terms of acting and being in the spotlight. I think Boogie Nights is a true masterpiece in that collectively, as a narrative, it's just perfect. And every character has meaning. Every character possesses something so strong within themselves, even with the little screen time they have. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, who is unbelievable. That scene in the car where he's crying, amazing. John C. Reilly's character, I think, is so funny in this. Like that first sequence, I don't know if you've watched it recently, when they're at the party and John C. Reilly meets Mark Wahlberg's character first time, and he's like, how much can you bench? And they have that kind of like pitfall off with each other, and like they combat it with the stats and stuff. I love that moment. William H. Macy, I think, is unbelievable in this as well.
So good.
His one scene, like that shock moment everyone speaks about, is as
New
good
Year's
as
Eve, yeah,
is as good as I remember it being. I just think collectively the music, the look, the aesthetic, the feel, how it's like kind of part hangout movie for a certain mantra, like first half, and then it splits off into a whole other film. I think this is perfect. Like I think it's a truly perfect film. I think it's a masterpiece. And yeah, it like I used to love it, and I hadn't seen it in like probably 4 years, and I rewatched it the other day. I'm like, yeah, this is like the best film of all time. So, which is amazing.
Don Cheadle in this too. Yeah,
Don Cheadle. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
I haven't watched this in 3 years, so it's been long overdue, over 3 years. But when I watched it, I was blown away. When I get done with this rewatch, we'll see how things rank. If I had to make a prediction, my top 2 are going to be Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood. I don't know what the order will be. That's my prediction for going through this. I have a lot to watch through. I know I love Magnolia, which we'll talk about in a second, but Boogie Nights blew me away when I first saw it. It was an instant 5-star for me. So like, cause I'm looking at my letterbox, so like my rating right now is 4.5, but like when I go to my diary entry, it says 5 stars. So clearly I was a loser and dropped it over time, which I'm going to try and not do anymore. And also I just want to go through and clean out my letterbox in general. I'm not going to do a George where I'm going to unrate everything, but I'm going to there's some things that need to be cleaned up there. But yeah, Boogie Nights is just a masterful movie that just is electric from the opening scene to the end, completely blending what PTA does best with comedy and shock moments and drama and getting the most out of his actors. It's just such a fun movie. And it's like, I was going to say it's such an easy film to like recommend because it is so like feverishly enjoyable by everyone. But obviously like there's probably people in your life you don't want to recommend a movie that's so graphic in its nudity and about porn stars too. Like, we know there's people that just would never want to watch a movie like that. And when I read the synopsis to Riley, she had no interest in watching that. So
would you say it's his most accessible? Because that's probably what I would say.
People are saying that about One Battle After Another, but
I kind of disagree. George texted me about this the other day, and he asked because he was like very against it. I do think One Battle After Another is up there in terms of its crowd pleasing ability, its unsubtlety. It's very obvious as to what notion it possesses. But I also think, for me, when I look for his filmography, I don't think a lot of films are accessible. We'll speak about them in a moment. I think particularly in his later career, like The Master, for example. But Boogie Nights, I think, is up there. I would probably say Boogie Nights is probably his most accessible.
Yeah, I think I would, looking at filmography, I think I would agree. I wouldn't say any of them are like super accessible, but I wouldn't say any of them are like inaccessible. I don't think like any of his films are like yeah, like this is going to be, I mean, The Master maybe is the closest, but I don't think any of them are really like inaccessible movies, but I wouldn't say any of them are like wildly accessible either. Cause like in my mind, like I think not revisionist history is the wrong word, but I think it's just like the benefit of 20 years later. Cause like I think Punch Drunk Love's easy to recommend, but like seeing what the ratings when it came out, like it got a D on Metacritic, reviews are super mixed. So clearly, like when that movie is not a widely loved movie, even though to
Even
me
now,
when I watch it, I'm like,
film, to be fair.
it is, but like when I watch it, I'm like, I don't know. I could see people like I find it hard for people to hate it, but clearly many people do. So I'm wrong there. So yeah, I'd say Boogie Nights if you find someone who's not like offended by nudity, like I don't know if your parents aren't interested in watching something like that. Then
my mom loves Boogie Nights, just as a mention.
Yeah, there you go. It's such an entertaining movie, and I would probably, if I had to put my name on one, I'd say that's his most accessible. The next film, though, definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, Magnolia is one I used to love Magnolia. I need to remember it from this. It's been like at least 4 years at this point. I think it's huge. It's like this kind of biblical melodramatic like opera drama, so to speak. It's massive, and I think it's so well structured in terms of, I think it's over 3 hours, isn't it? It's definitely his longest film. And you've got these kind of primary performances. Like I've always spoken about how good Tom Cruise is in it. Philip Seymour Hoffman in his moments as well. Probably one of the strongest casts actually. But it's been a few years for me. This is one I was annoyed. I'm probably gonna watch it this week. Actually, I don't want to watch it. And I think, to be honest, it could be another one of my five because I used to love it, but it's just been such a long time. Like the last time I watched it was before I even started TikTok. So it's been like a long time. But yeah, have you watched it? When did you watch it?
It's been a year.
Okay, so you're not too bad if you want to give like your thoughts.
Yeah, I think this is probably a masterpiece. I say probably because I've only seen it once, and this isn't a movie that you can really fully get watching once. It is so much to digest, so much to take in. It's a lot of movie. It is an odyssey. They played like a clips of every PTA film right before one battle after another, Alamo Drafthouse, and when they showed this, like, because I know when Weapons came out, everyone was like, "Wow, they're really copying." What's his name? That actor we both like, who is in Twixt, the cop in Weapons.
Val Kilmer.
What's his name?
No,
in Weapons, the cop.
Josh Brolin. Oh, sorry, Alvin Ehrenreich.
Yeah. They were saying his character's a copy of John C. Reilly from Magnolia, and then when they were showing the clips of Magnolia, I was like, "Holy shit! Yeah, that does look like what it looks like in Weapons." But this movie is an acting powerhouse. It's one of those that a lot of movies can fall into this trap where Tom Cruise's scene of him crying on the deathbed goes viral every now and then because people who watch the movie know how impactful that scene is and how accurate that portrayal is of seeing someone dying in front of you. But it's one of those that when the scene goes out, like you see it out of context, people are like, wow, this is really overacted. This is awful. And Tom Cruise's characters look so ridiculous too, because he's like a male supremacist, like, what is it? Like honor your cock, like whatever he says. He has that weird saying where he's like reject or like
it
dominate
like
the pussy, like honor your cock.
It's
or
like
whatever,
big melodrama, isn't it? And he's like the caricature of that. So it's hard.
Yeah, and he's like this guru
context.
that's supposed to be like kind of like this. What nowadays you see like the alt-right pipeline of like pro men, anti women, like or just like objectify women. So he has like this weird haircut, and he's just like a ridiculous guy. So it's like it fits his character, but it's just one that I see when the scene goes viral. I see people sometimes be
it's
like,
hard to.
God, this is so overacted, but it's so well in the movie. And Philip Seymour Hoffman is just every time he's on the screen, you're convinced he's the best to ever do it. But this is one that like it's like again, I'm predicting my rankings. I'm predicting probably Boogie Nights there will be top 2, but Magnolia is probably the closest like sleeper that maybe could jump up there and rewatch, but there's just so much movie here and I'm excited to rewatch it. But like you said, like you wanted to rewatch before this, it is hard to like carve out the time because it's what's the exact runtime? It's
like 3:10 maybe.
Yeah, 3 hours, 9 minutes. So it's a lot of movie, but it's worth the run for sure.
Yeah. Which is funny actually because his film after, so he goes from his longest film to his shortest film, which was Punch Drunk Love in 2002. Man, so interesting as a film, so interesting project, so interesting as a project to take on post Magnolia, I would say. Like, and obviously people laud this for being one of Adam Sandler's like great, not uncomedic because it's a comedic role in essence, but it's one of his best performances, like without a doubt. I think it's wonderful. I think I love One Punch Drunk Love, and I do get where people, some people find it annoying and not to quote Terrence Fletcher, but not quite my tempo. Good one. But it is that kind of really weird blend of that piercing anxiety that Adam Sandler's character faces, but also kind of finding new love, and being that very emotionally unstable person and finding that and almost learning to control like the outbursts of anger and fear. There's the really famous sequence that plays with which I love, with him and Philip Seymour Hoffman's character on the phone when they're like shouting
so
each
good.
other. It's so good. Like you've just got, again, same can be said with PTA. Two guys who he's got at the peak of their powers, acting the fucking asses off, like being the best themselves. And I think, again, Punch to Love is a matter of that. And I understand that it's not, people's favorite and perhaps a bit maybe simple in terms of how special it is in terms of representation as well. Obviously, again, it's something I can't talk about in terms of the autistic representation and stuff, but I've been told it's of a very high quality, I think, in terms of their thematics and the day-by-day personality issues they face as well. But I think it's really, really good. I think it's like messy in the best possible way. Perfect run time in terms of its structure as well.
Yeah, it's funny. This movie has a lot of similarities to Phantom Thread, as they're both, these socially awkward, autistic men searching for love, but are so blinded by their occupation. Whereas Phantom Thread is being a dressmaker for Barry Egan. It's collecting pudding to get airline miles. Very different, very different day jobs that they have. But Adam Sandler in this movie is great. Everyone always kind of says, this and Uncut Gems are where he really showcases his acting prowess. I love this movie and I watched it. I give it a 4.5. Again, I think it's fiercely funny. It's very awkward with them trying to find love and the scenes with them together. And they all both match their energy so well, which again, you see in Phantom Thread where it's not a normal relationship, but they both match each other's energy. So I think there's a good through line here between Punch Drunk Love and Phantom Thread. But this is a good movie, fun movie. I give it 4.5 when I first watched it. I haven't seen it in a while though. It is his shortest film, like you said, and Emily Watson's great in this, but Philip Seymour Hoffman just is like the definition of a scene stealer in this for when he, that phone call, like you mentioned. But from the jump of this movie, you just get buckled in for a wild ride where you have like that car crash and the piano outside. You're like, it's a lot more surreal elements. And I think I guarantee probably one of the leading reasons it got like a D cinema score is like, this was probably sold as Adam Sandler's new rom-com, which it is like Adam Sandler rom-com, but this is people looking for all of the rom-coms he was dominating the late 90s and early 2000s with. So, and this is very much not the same style. It's very surreal, very awkward. So I can very much see why it wouldn't be very well received.
It's like me describing to Anna, who's not familiar with PTA's work. It's like, oh, do you want to watch Phantom Thread? Oh yeah, what is it? It's just a rom-com, which it is in essence. It's a rom-com, but not quite to the style I think people would be accustomed to with a rom-com, so to speak. But yeah, after that, I would argue probably his most famous film in terms of probably his most beloved film as well. There Will Be Blood, I think, is kind of the pinnacle. TikTok edits definitely helped with I'm abandoning my child, abandoning my boy, something like that. Top 10 acting performances ever. It's always the same.
The good old days.
God, the good old days. But yeah, I think like we actually reviewed this thing on Patreon. So this is a perfect thing to join the Patreon because we did a full review on There Will Be Blood on the 9th of November 2024. So nearly a year ago now, which is kind of crazy. But I think this is like, again, one of the forefrontal, formidable, like essential anti-capitalist American films of the 21st century. And again, like everyone knows it to be that, but it is just as good as advertised. Daniel Day-Lewis is as good as advertised. It's beautifully laid out. I think the sets are wonderful. It's one of the best looking movies ever. The score is undeniable. It's one of those films where it's like a parasite for me. Do you know what I mean? Where it deserves all the kind of plaudits it receives, which is funny as well, because I'm hyping up so much, but it isn't actually like even near my favorite PTA, which I think just goes to show how highly I value him and rate him as a director. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, before I finish my rewatches, is certainly, as of right now, like if I had to pick my favorite PTA, it's There Will Be Blood. It's in my top favorite films ever. Like The Social Network, Parasite, Godfather, like these are all movies, and There Will Be Blood is in that same name, where they are so hyped up and just completely deliver in everything you could ever expect. And they transcend like film brodom, where there's a lot of typical films. We talk about this all the time about Nolan, how there's kind of a cycle of you love Nolan, you think Nolan's overrated, then you kind of come back around and realize like, no, he actually is like a master at what he's doing. And
it's like classic like graph, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's like There Will Be Blood's just a film that like, no matter how much the film bro edits of the acting performances are, it's like nothing can taint how perfect this movie is on tackling capitalism and greed, and showcases Daniel Day-Lewis in a way that, you could certainly argue is the greatest acting performance of all time. And I don't think many people are going to really push back on that too much. It's just him operating at a level that's so unbelievable that it's definitely worth mentioning that Paul Dano, for being so green and young in his career, this is just like
so young,
a year or two after Little Miss Sunshine. Like Paul Dano went from that, where he's like, looks like a kid, to this, where he is completely matching and sometimes overpowering Daniel Day-Lewis's energy in this
Which
film.
is insane.
I can't say enough of how impressive it is from him. But this movie is so beautiful to look at, so powerful, so intense, builds up to a fiery conclusion. It's just kind of everything you want it to be and more. It's to me, Paul Thomas Anderson's masterpiece. And PTA is just such a fascinating career going through these back to back to back, because he has such a diverse catalog here. But this is, I don't know. There's nothing really I can say negatively at all about There Will Be Blood. It's just a perfect movie to me.
Yeah. And then 5 years after that, we have The Master. I rewatched The Master fairly recently, I feel like, in February, so it's pretty fresh. I've only seen it twice. I liked it even more on rewatch. I think it's wonderful. And again, man, like Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix, I think Joaquin Phoenix gives, in my opinion, by far the best work of his career in this. I think it's unbelievable how good he is. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman probably maybe even his best as well. It's ridiculous, whenever those two converse. But it's really just like a man post-war, seeking his place, and then engrossed in this, indoctrinated into this, whilst battling with his own thoughts, his own traumas, his own PTSD. He's essentially indoctrinated into this kind of faction, molded into someone who works towards their beliefs. It's kind of relentless, biblical to a sense as well, and really, really looks at these cultures and these subcultures and Scientology as a concept. And I think it's really fucking good. It's one of those, again, I say this about a lot of films, but PTA especially, but especially this film, is you need to watch it again. It's a must watch again, because it's so inaccessible. I'd actually say that this film and his next film, The Master and Inherent Vice, probably his least accessible, maybe. I think it's fucking amazing, The Master. It actually, went much higher on my review. I know you watched it for the first time recently.
First time just a couple weeks ago. I haven't seen Inherent Vice, so I can't speak to that one. You're going to have to carry that one on your own. That's the only one I haven't seen. But
I won't be carrying that one for the last 6 years. So
The Master, I can't comment on Inherent Vice, the fact if it's inaccessible or how inaccessible it is, but The Master to me is absolutely his least accessible. I don't think there's any way to fully process this movie. Magnolia is a lot of movie, but I feel like I grasped a lot of it on first watch. The Master is one that absolutely need a second watch from. Tackles, there's conflicting reports if it is based on L. Ron Hubbard and based on Scientology. A lot of people would agree yes, and a lot of critics would say yes. I think PTA came out at one point saying no, it's not about that. But it's is that a case of, I'm going to say that so I don't get shot in the back of a van or something?
And even if it isn't,
Scientology,
it's you can take.
Right, you can take it whatever way you want.
It absolutely, It's one of those
very
things.
much about the charisma of a cult leader. But this is one of the greatest acting showcase. And we just talked about There Will Be Blood, maybe the greatest acting performance of all time. All these movies have such a great ensemble casts. But Philip Seymour Hoffman is Lancaster Dodd, Joaquin Phoenix in this, Amy Adams in this are all some of the best directed acting performances ever in PTA's whole catalog, all within this one movie. But I think this just tackles so much, obviously, about Scientology and cultism and cult leaders and how they're able to manipulate their followers. Talks about just the failure of America and the Western world of reintegrating veterans post-war, of how Joaquin Phoenix clearly has so much unaddressed trauma, and society completely fails to reincorporate him into the workforce, get him the help he needs, and he's taken advantage of by someone like a cult leader who realizes this guy is broken, not mentally stable, and that's right for him to pluck and exactly to mold him up. So it's just the post-war workforce and how much veterans were failed after World War II. Lancaster Dodd just leeching from the powerless to grow in his power. And their back and forth is just so insane. Philip Seymour Hoffman's monologue to Joaquin Phoenix about how if I die and you die, I will find you in the afterlife and kill you. It's just so evil and so vicious. And Joaquin Phoenix in the jail cell is just a perfect preamble to what you see in Joker's clearly you can see him like now once you watch The Master, you watch Joker and realize like, oh yeah, a lot of like the character work in the Joker that he picked up is definitely like kind of carrying over from The Master, where he has like this physical performance of this guy who's just so batshit insane and on just anything can set him off at any moment. And he can just be completely unleashed. But such impressive stuff. A beautiful movie to look at as well. But the performances of Hoffman and Phoenix and Adams to an extent, but specifically Hoffman and Phoenix are, amongst the best PTAs ever worked with. And there's a lot in this movie. Like it's very surreal with Joaquin Phoenix obviously has a lot of mental trauma. So it's like showing from his perspective, like the women being naked and how much he's driven by sexual desire and the homosexual tensions between him and Lancaster Dodd. There's a lot to unpack here. And it's a masterful movie. I only give it a 4-star right now because it's like, I loved it. I need to see it again to reaffirm some things. So I can't talk with it as much praise as some of the other PTA films, but this is kind of a film you watch and just realize it's pretty undeniable.
Yeah. We're gonna have to. So 2 years after I made Inherent Vice, but I haven't seen it in like 6-7 years now. I need to unrate actually.
But it is worth mentioning that Inherent Vice is based on a book written by Pynchon, who also wrote One Battle After Another. So he adapted two novels from that author. This is one of them, and then One Battle After Another is based on Vineland.
Yeah, I would say, just for reference, I think it is, based on what I remember, equally his most inaccessible, I would say. Like, yeah, for sure. But after that, like 3 years after that, he released Phantom Thread, which is my masterpiece for PTA. I think Phantom Thread is like the best film ever in terms of just essentially this kind of surface level rom-com, I guess. But really, the whole thing is this balance, this battle for control, and a commitment to a career, throwing a relationship off, throwing values off, being your whole committal to that idealistic image and having that and maintaining it. I think that I need to get her name up actually. Let me get her name up. Daniel Day-Lewis as Reynolds Woodcock and Vicky
Creeps.
Is it? Yeah, as Alma. They just complement each other so perfectly in this, in determining their both relationship, and have these kind of intentional moments where you've got entanglements of the relationship, and then also Daniel Day-Lewis's battle with grief and times pass by. Like one of the best scenes in the world ever is when he's like ill in his room and he sees the ghost. Fuck, just unbelievable. It's like a whole like silly affair, which is like twisted by both parties. Like Alma is insane. Genuine. I mean, they're both insane, but she's like mental. But they're almost the best for each other. It's not like outwardly comedic, but there are so many kind of sarcastic, driven lines and reflections. And I don't know. I love Phantom Thread in every single way. I think it's like the more you watch, the more you get. The color in this, the detail in some of the dressmaking scenes early on as well, the sound, man. I think it's the best film ever. Phantom Thread. So good.
It's such a gorgeous film to look at. Like you said, the costuming and production design is brilliant. Daniel Day-Lewis given an all-timer performance. Same with Vicky Creeps. Same with Leslie Manville as well. They're all so good in this. This movie is so much funnier than I remember because I just rewatched it, 4 days ago. This movie's hilarious. Like Daniel Day-Lewis's line delivery as this like autistic dressmaker who is so socially awkward and has no idea how to handle true love. He's just so funny about just like, the whole, I can't start my day with a confrontation, and Alma just completely jabbing at him with how she eats food. And he has so many more line deliveries. I was just rolling. I was laughing so much. He's just
so good.
Just so good. But yeah, very funny movie. It is a true rom-com, like you said earlier. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really negative I can say. It's a very toxic relationship. He's very controlling of his females that he keeps in his life. She's very evil to him, literally poisoning him. And, she's no scientist. She had no idea if he's going to be able to survive that or not. She wanted him to, fall in love and realize how much he needed her. And then, they kind of get on it together at the end and do it together. It's so very weird relationship, very toxic relationship, not a healthy relationship in the slightest. But yeah, like clearly the two, well, she's clearly insane. He's clearly not developed enough for true love, and they meet and try and make it work. And I think it's a stunning film to look at. Great performances all around. Definitely one of PTA's best for sure, and one of the best of the 2010s as a whole.
Yeah, I think kind of like the conversation on relationships follows into Licorice Pizza as well, which is an interesting one. I think it's an interesting one to talk about because there are essentially like two main camps with this, I would argue, in its context, in that whether it's distasteful and repulsive to a certain extent, I know a lot of people hate this, or whether I actually rewatched it for the first time since many years, like 3 days ago. I actually liked it quite a bit more on rewatch, and I think it goes without saying, no, I really like every single one of PTA's films. That's not, it's still down the bottom for me.
Yeah.
But I really liked it, and I liked it even more on rewatch. And the conversations around it are an interesting one because it's like a perfect progressional point from Phantom Thread in terms of relationships and that balance of control and that transitional period. I think in age is the big thing here. It's a difficult one because the way that the two primary characters act in Licorice Pizza is that they're almost opposites of one another, and they're almost the age flips, and they're at different transitional stages of life. And I kind of really actually get a lot from how it's portrayed in that and situation lies of it. And I think the whole thing is like a hangout movie a lot of the time as well. And I love the aesthetic. I think a lot of the characters, like I love what's his character's name? Bradley Cooper's part as well. I can't remember his name, but Bradley Cooper's part as well. And I think everyone has their own mantra, and I get it. I think Sean Penn is terrific in it. And I understand the pitfalls and the relationship it explores is a taboo, and it should be a taboo subject. But the way I find it to be a positive in that it's the exploration of that transitional period in age and how they're actually flipped, and it's not putting light on that by any means, but it's exploring it in a mantra of, okay, here's the exposure towards it and the different periods of life and where they're at. It's making you uncomfortable, and that's a provocation. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of the way you take it. I don't know when the last time you watched it was.
A long time ago, 2 years ago. And my review is, when I first watched Licorice Pizza, I thought for sure Cooper Hoffman would be everywhere soon. Disappointed to not see him get more work. Well, I was a little early because I think now he's there. He's in Long Walk. He's in Warfare, and I think he's kind of booked and busy going forward. So just
he's in Warfare? I don't even know that.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of a delay, but Cooper Hoffman's here and he's here to stay. But Licorice Pizza, I haven't seen it in a while. I need to rewatch it along with more than half the films we just talked about. But it's a tough one because it's when you have a subject matter like this with this age gap relationship that's by definition illegal. You have like a teacher-student relationship, which is also a power dynamic, which is also very hard to explore. I feel like a lot of people tackle it in too far of an extreme absolutist. I feel like I see a lot of people, obviously, especially in the popular masses, that will not engage with this movie. Will just say it's a terrible movie, trash movie, should not even be considered to watch by anyone because of the age gap. But I almost see people overcorrect on the other side too and say, no, you're like, and almost just say like you shouldn't even mention it or engage with it or talk about it. So it's like almost like too far of overcorrecting on both sides, where some sides like, this is gross. Why would you ever watch a movie like this? And the other side's like, what's wrong with you for like not being able to watch this film because of that? Like this is not even an issue. I think it's somewhere in the middle. It definitely made me uncomfy when I watched it. It's obviously supposed to, of how Alana Haim's character is just yearning for youth, and Cooper Hoffman's kind of the opposite. He's yearning to be an adult and being self-sufficient, and how that kind of power dynamic flips almost a bit, because she has all the power as she's the superior, she's the teacher, but he kind of is the one in control of most of the situations here. But yeah, it's one I need to rewatch. It's the one I remember really the least because it's been the longest since I've watched it, and I think I don't know why I watched it or decided to, because I was gonna say it was for like prepping for the best pictures, but 2021 was not when I watched it. I watched it in 2023, so I can't really remember when I went through it, but I remember thinking it was good. I didn't love it. I gave it a 3.5 at the time, so we'll see where I land this time. But yeah, it's like this is almost like the most like Linklater feeling PTA movie from my memory.
Yeah, I get that.
Very much a hangout movie. You're soaked in the vibes of the film. Go on these wild journeys with friends and doing things like, the water beds and stealing cars and smoking weed and good music. So it's just very, very vibey film. So that's why it's just PTA's filmography is just so wild. It's just so all over the place in the most complimentary of ways.
and then we'll now review one battle after another. So,
Yep. So now everyone rewind your video to 30 minutes. And
rewind it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can go and watch that.
I'll give my ranking. So to preface this, so Inherent Vice, Magnolia, I haven't seen in the longest time, but this is where I imagine they'd be based on how I used to think about them, which is kind of incorrect, but still. Last place, Hard 8, 4-star as of right now. Licorice Pizza, 9, 4-star. Inherent Vice, 8, 4-star. Punch Drunk Love, 7, 4.5. Magnolia, 6, 4.5. There Will Be Blood, 5, 4.5. The Master, 4, 4.5. One Battle After Another, 3, 5-star. Boogie Nights, 2, 5-star. And Phantom Thread as the number 1 PTA at a 5-star. So 7 of the 10 films I've at a 4.5 or above, and all are a 4-star or above. That's crazy. Thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm doing a fresh ranking on all these watches. So right now I have 4 ranked, as in I just watched them in the past 2 weeks. So right now it's number 1, One Battle After Another, number 2, Phantom Thread, number 3, The Master, number 4, Hard 8. If I had to make a prediction of how it's all going to go, I would say 1, There Will Be Blood, 2, Boogie Nights, 3, Magnolia, 4, One Battle After Another, 5, Phantom Thread, 6, Punch. I don't know.
I think you could. I think you'll be in The Master. You know, I think that'll. I just got a feeling that'll shoot up for you on rewatch.
Yeah, I'll have to
really good for me as well.
I really have no idea how I'm going to predict these. I have no clue where Inherent Vice will land. I think I could see Punch Drunk Love maybe starting to be towards the bottom, Licorice Pizza towards the bottom, but just like you said, like Hard 8 for me is a 3.5 and it's his lowest, but it's closer to a 4 than a 3, and everything else is 4 and above. So like 4s, 4.5s, 5s, like. I don't know. It's one of those that's it's hard to have a ranking because like people will see something in last place and be like, "Oh, what are you doing with that in last place?" It's like you still really like the movie, so there's just so much greatness here.
Yeah, that kind of wraps up our PTA chats. Also, just pause, Tyler, for a second. Are we planning on doing real quick today too, or are we doing this week?
No, we can do that later this week.
Okay, because
it'll just be me and you, but yeah, we'll figure it out a time.
Yeah. Do you want? All right, cool. Let me get my thing. Maybe I can get the millionaire thing sorted.
Okay. Yeah, I have no clue which patron was supposed to make that.
I know who it is. Okay. I remember you tagging themselves. I'll tag them and ask them. Let me get the. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Cool. So we have a few trailers count this week, like quite a few trailers actually count this week. Just want to run through them quickly. Yep. Avatar Fire and Ash, do trailer for that. Hot take, looks fucking cool. Looks great.
Cool.
We are very in on the Avatar Fire and Ash. We're very Fire and Ash pilled. When's the release date on that again? December the
19th is off the top of my head. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm so excited for it.
Yep, 19th.
And Anna hasn't seen The Way of Water yet, so she's excited to because that's getting re-released, isn't it? So gonna go and see that again, which I'm very excited for. Wicked for Good, new trailer. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I mean, I actually liked Wicked when I watched it. Obviously, it's a film that a lot of people love, a lot of people hate. I mean, I liked it in terms of like a 3 song. So like I watched it, I was like, yeah, these songs fuck, man, and the performances are good.
Songs are good, and performances are good.
The rest of it, it's a pretty ugly movie. But I can't lie, I got a good time when I was in the theater watching it. I wasn't in love with it, but I think this one should be fun because I don't know really the rest of the story of Wicked. I feel like I don't know this one. Well, no, I know like the spoiler things. I don't know how the actual whole film progresses. I know who the characters are, and I know what the end resolution is, but it's like I don't know most how the story goes. So I don't know. Cool, fine. It doesn't look great to me, but I'm gonna watch it. I'm probably
a good thing is that it's shorter. It's short.
That is good. That is
like 20 minutes short. That's always good. Yeah, we can record whatever. The Bride, big trailer this week. Interesting one. So obviously Maggie Gyllenhaal, The Bride. One that's kind of we've been speaking about for a while. Jesse Buck and Kristen Bale, two of the best kind of working today. One thing I will say, I'm not entirely convinced. I think it looks very cool. I'm not entirely there yet. However, what I will say, it looks to be pretty like bold and outrageous in terms of taking this kind of essence of story and its origin and putting it in where they have. So I'm excited for it just to see where it lands. Like it looks like there's a risk being taken here, which I always like. Do you know what I mean?
I'm way more interested in this personally than Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. This just looks more interesting to me. I think there's a chance it's going to be way worse because it's taking a swing. Yeah. It's definitely taking a swing, and it looks like more bold to me. The trailer I think is really cool. I think it has a chance to be a complete miss. It has a chance to be a masterpiece. But it's definitely taking a swing, like you
Which
said.
is why it's exciting.
I'm excited for this. And the cast is obviously phenomenal. Christian Bale, Jesse Buckley. You also have Jake Gyllenhaal in there.
Yeah.
We both are big fans of The Lost Daughter. Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut.
I really like.
I'm excited for this.
It's interesting, like, because obviously The Lost Daughter, like, conceptually, it's a really interesting film to make after it, isn't it? So, and that's been a while. It was like 2021, maybe 2020.
Yep, 2021.
Yeah, it's been a while. So, I'm excited. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, she's one of one. I don't understand what this is. You know, the Mandalorian trailer. Is this a show? Or is this a film?
That's a movie. The Mandalorian and Grogu.
It's a film.
Yeah.
Oh well, it looks shit anyway. Sorry, Cal.
Yeah, I don't care for Star Wars, so I'm not going to be interested in that. But I remember the poster released, and I saw someone quote tweeting, they're like, "Baby Yoda is on this poster like 4 different times." Like looking around.
I did see the Jeremy Allen White as the fucking like Jabba the Hutt.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
very weird.
I mean, it's a big Star Wars movie. I'm gonna see it, but it's like,
well, I mean, yeah, I'll watch it. I don't really know. I've not seen the show, the Mandalorian show, or anything. So I'm really
watched season 1 like when it came out, like I don't know, 2020 or something, long time ago. So yeah, I have no idea. It's on season like 3 or 4 now.
So I did also mention this quickly because this has been like anticipated for a while, and obviously you're not a big gamer, but we got a trailer for the Wolverine game, Insomnia's Wolverine game.
People are going crazy over that.
Well, I mean, yeah. So essentially, the story is with this that it was revealed like years ago at this point. It was a bit so like you remember when Cyberpunk came out and the initial teaser for Cyberpunk was released like years earlier.
Yeah.
So Wolverine wasn't that long ago. When was the first teaser?
I feel like I've heard about it for at least 2 years.
Oh, it's been a while. Here we go. So basically, the initial reveal was 2021. Like, and that's kind of all we've had. And essentially, what happened was there was like obviously they've really like beta tested, not even beta, like it's pre-production essentially for a while, and obviously it takes a long time to make a game. And they, if I remember correctly, the systems got hacked and there was like massive leaks for the game. So that obviously, like, if you don't know, leaking for a game massively halts production, especially when it's something like AAA. Leaks, they had to push it back. And this is kind of the first official trailer we've got with like gameplay and stuff. I think it looks cool as fuck. And I mean, I don't know if you played. Did you play the Spider-Man games at all? The Insomniac ones?
Does Insomniac make like the Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales games?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So obviously they made them, which I really, really enjoyed, especially Spider-Man 1 and 2 to a certain extent. So I'm really excited for this. I think it looks cool as fuck, and I'm just glad we've kind of made sure it's something real now, because I remember even Alex did a video where it's like, it's not coming out, and I was like, yeah, it was almost like the Blade for a while, where it's just not coming. So that's really cool. A little bit of movie news as well this week. The biggest one being The Social Network 2, officially titled as The Social Reckoning, in cinemas October the 9th, 2026.
I mean, I like that they're distancing themselves from the name of The Social Network.
We did say that, didn't we? When it was
I can't say The Social Reckoning is the name I would have chosen, but I'm happy it's not Social Network 2. I think it's going to be a lot better for audiences because now it's not called The Social Network 2. The cast is going to be all different. So no one's going to be fooled by the trailer. Like, I'm talking people who aren't a part of Jen, and have no idea about this movie. No one's going to be fooled into seeing this movie and saying it's horrible because it's not. Like, where's Jesse Eisenberg?
It's just another Facebook story. Like,
I mean, I'm interested in see what Sorkin's got, but I don't know. It's just kind of a silly title.
Very silly. One more after another, biggest box office opening of PTA's career, which is really, really good. Hopefully we get more films from him. And also, it's crazy that he's mid-50s, by the way. Like, I know Doug tweeted, it feels like it's like 80, you know. It's just like that film was made at this point. And also, Zach Cregger confirms he plans to direct a Weapons prequel about Aunt Gladys. I know I loved Weapons. I know you liked it, weren't high on it. I don't really care about this, to be honest, at all.
Same. Yeah. No interest.
I don't give a fuck. That's kind of it. Like, I could honestly, like, there's not really much, unless you can think of anything else I missed. There's not really much news this week.
No, just quick point on like one battle after another, because I saw. Like, so, you know, and it kind of goes in what you said about Weapons. You know, when Sinners came out and people were like, oh, I want to see an origin story, and people were like trying to franchise it out, and everyone's like, oh, why do you always do this every movies? I'm already seeing the same thing, and I'm seeing tweets by people who like I thought were the people who were like against stuff like that when people were saying Sinners, saying it for one battle after another, where they're like, man, there's like 5 characters in this movie you can make a whole 3-hour movie about. Like, I'm like, you're starting to plant the seeds. Like, they will do it. Like, if you don't stop now,
they will. We'll get a Sean Penn limited series. That's what we'll get. About one battle after another.
But Sinners was way more I mean, obviously, I think One Battle After Another will have really great legs, but I think Sinners is still going to
Sinners defied
more
any of our
successful. So like
expectations.
that would, if you made basically if Warner Brothers greenlit a prequel on Sinners from a business perspective, you'd be like, yeah, it makes sense. Whereas One Battle After Another, I don't think it's going to be getting spin-offs because I don't think
it's
the
very
money
very cool though. Like Sinners and One Battle After Another are making waves, like socially, I guess. In the they're both like high octane, politically driven comedies.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Like it's really good to see these two films thriving, which is really, really good. And then again, like for most of us right now, they are like the 1 and 2 of the year, depending on how you rank them. So that's really cool.
Shout out Warner Brothers, like we shit on them when they deserve to be shit on for the decisions Zaslav's made in the past, but not only have they gotten Sinners and One Battle After Another this year, who championed major individual original films that they're trying to test out the mid-market movies to see that they're back. But beyond that, One Battle After Another shot on VistaVision. Sinners is IMAX 70 millimeters. So not only are they championing like original storytelling, they're very much interested in pushing the medium forward of terms of filmmaking or bringing back old school filmmaking. So cool to see from Warner Brothers. Hopefully they keep it up. Obviously, we know they're trying to sell. So I don't know what the end.
And sell it to Netflix. You can't.
Yeah, who knows what happens there? But Warner Brothers is having a great year, and I feel like the last few years they have had terrible years and have made very stupid decisions with like that Acme versus Coyote shit and like the Batgirl movie. So like deservedly so. We shit on them when they deserve it, but 2025 has been a good year for Warner Brothers. They've been doing a lot of good stuff.
And that's kind of it for the episode. A good like 235. It's quite impressive actually for a 2-man.
Yeah.
Well, shout out Cam. He was there for like 10 minutes. So, but yeah, real quick this week we're actually undecided because we're going to record that in like a couple of days, probably, or whenever. So it will either be, I would imagine, continuation of the tier list, or we may do the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire ReelTok game thing. This one's correct. Like I said earlier, if you want to check out the Discord, look at the benefits, that'd be great. And also our Patreon review this week is going to be on Friday, Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage. So get that watched if you want to listen to the Patreon review on Friday. And shout out executive producers as well, whose names are
They're
not
on your screen right now.
There we go.
You're about to leave.
Okay, wait. Ollie Powell, Stefan Johnson, classic. What a guy. And Cole Beaver, also a classic. We appreciate you guys. And with that, we'll see you on Thursday with our real quick of whatever that is going to be. Peace.